All right, everybody. Hopefully I got everything to link okay. We will see if I did here in just a second. All right. Just have to do this really quick. Always have to log in here right after I get started. Okay. Sorry again, guys. Hold on. There we go. All right. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. And let's see what we can do today, okay? Got my iPad here. Alrighty. My little charger sort of got things going, but I'm just gonna be making some notes, some adjustments here, so stay with me, and let's go right about there. Alright, let me get all comfy here. And let me make some notes here. Alrighty. Give me a second here while I am making some adjustments to the date. We're on a new month, so I have to update my template that I have here. Alright, so let's do October 4th. Alright, so I think we're good to go. Okay, so with that being said and done, let's get started here. Okay, so let's get these shuffled, see what we can come up with here. And of course, we are going to be doing the generals first. That's usually what we're going to be doing. I do feel like I'm kind of washed out here, so give me 1 second to adjust the lighting. So using the same exact profile yesterday, or last time I did this, and it seemed okay, but now it seems kind of different, so right there seems nice. It gives me an orange glow. Alright, let's try that, shall we? Okay. So let's shuffle. We're going to do Tuesday, and then we're going to do Wednesday. You guys know the drill if you've been here before. If not, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you guys stopping by. And like it says right down here, please remember to like and subscribe. That just helps the channel. That just really helps it out. And that doesn't cost anything, right? And I would appreciate all the help I can get in that way. I'm planning on doing more with the channel. I'm feeling better, feeling more motivated, like I can handle a little bit more. And so be prepared to see some changes on the channel, some good changes, nothing like I'm taking away anything. I'm just going to be adding more. So let's do this. Shuffle again here. And again, hopefully I set up that stream right on scheduling. I'm not sure if I did. One more shuffle for these ones. And let's move on to these ones over here. Let's do this. Alright, I just do a few more shuffles here. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we're going to do Tuesday first, and then we're going to do Wednesday. So let's look at what we have for Tuesday. All right. All right, I'm going to move these cards like this so that it's easier for us to see. Hey there, 5D Pixie, how are you doing? I think I know you. I think I remember. I do think I remember you. So here's what we got for Tuesday coming up here. So we have, this is going to be the community card. Kind of hard to see those colors. It's actually hard. Little kissy emoji to you too, 5D Pixie. You're the only one who can get away with it, by the way. Let's see here. I'll lower that a little bit. There we go. Maybe that'll be easier to see the cards. Okay, so we have the community card right here. And then we have Daughter of Wands in reverse. And we have the World card also in reverse. So what this could mean right here is that we could be coming to trust the world again after a time of not being able to feel like we could do that. Like we could be open with our sense of trust, or we could be vulnerable with our sense of trust. And the thing with being human is that every time we're vulnerable, okay, if each of us is an island, every time we're vulnerable and we allow ourselves to connect with somebody else, it's allowing our island to build a bridge to another island that also leads to another island. So a sense of community is very important for us as we go through these trials and tribulations of life. And so I feel like there's an openness and a sense of wonder again, and a sense of like the world isn't as scary as I thought it once was, okay? It doesn't mean we were foolish in the past for thinking the way we were about the world, but it means that that way of thinking no longer serves us. And it's time for us to start something a little more sacred. And when I say sacred, I mean starting a relationship with ourselves that isn't based off of distrust and misleading kind of agendas. It's allowing ourselves to see the world for how it is, taking off the blinders that we put on to protect ourselves a long time ago. Those are no longer serving a purpose. So now it's time for us to step into the world and have a sense of realization and a sense of seeing things with our real eyes, right? When I say realize, seeing things with our real eyes, seeing the truth in the situation instead of seeing things through a biased lens, okay? That's why it's important to heal from trauma. That's why it's important to focus on that on our journey, especially in the spiritual realm. You do not want to be carrying around any excess baggage. Thank you, 5D Pixie. I appreciate that. But that's something that we can do moving forward. So trust and vulnerability are going to be the kind of the cornerstones to our new way of living, our new way of life. Okay. And this is a gradual process. There doesn't have to be anything quick. There does not have to be anything quick. A garden that is in bloom when it's ready, right? And then the fruit, everything's ready to eat, okay? But until that happens, until there is a bloom, we just be gentle with ourselves. We start slow. We don't expect big things at first, okay? And then get disappointed when big things don't happen. We go into this as a gentle process. We don't rush into this, okay? We allow ourselves to be expressive. We allow ourselves to be vulnerable, like I said before. And the one thing we can do moving forward that's going to help us more than anything is to allow ourselves to be curious, allow ourselves to use our adult imagination. And when I say adult imagination, when we're children, our imagination, it's kind of like a trance-like state. In fact, it is. Our imagination is hypnotic. It kind of has that effect. As we get older, we sort of lose touch with that imagination. But when we get that imagination back, that's when great things can happen. That's where creativity comes from. That's where all of this inspiration comes from, is from that adult imagination as we get older. And so it's important for us to be in touch with that, to be in tune with it, right? And all of this that I'm talking about takes time. None of this happens overnight. Okay, so don't expect it to. Celebrate the little victories. Focus on the present, and then allow yourselves to achieve your goals little by little by little, okay? So let's see what else we have for Tuesday here. Okay. Alrighty. Gonna move that over. So here's our other pile. Wow. Okay, this is interesting right here. Okay, so we have this card, Adjacent Possibilities, okay? And you'll see there's doors open everywhere, right? And there's a lot going on here. It reminds me of, I think it's MC Escher, or MC Hammer. There's an MC somewhere, I think. Anyway, it's hammer time. So we have Ace of Swords in reverse right here. And then we have Ace of Wands upright, okay? So this is right here. We have adjacent possibilities. We have a way of looking at things right now that are different. We have that sense of community. We have a sense of feeling like people understand us, feeling like we can be comfortable with ourselves and with our way of expressing ourselves. However, with the adjacent possibilities and the Ace of Swords in reverse, we are still stuck in the mind. We are still very much stuck in the way of, I can't think this way, I shouldn't be this way, people won't respect me if I'm this way. But a part of us is moving forward with this Ace of Wands energy, and this is a powerful kind of energy. The Ace of Wands is well, penetrating is one way to describe the card, right? It's a very masculine kind of card. It's a very powerful kind of card. When I say penetrating, I mean it goes through whatever it needs to go through. It's a very powerful card. It's like the Sun card. It's very masculine in its way of expressing itself, okay? And so this card right here is going to be a very powerful force because it is the Ace of Wands, meaning it's the beginning of something, meaning that we may have the thought process of, I don't know if I'm good enough. We could have these anxieties. We could have this secret inner world that we go to when things are hard, and it makes things worse because we don't know how to speak to ourselves in a gentle way yet. But the Ace of Wands is saying we're going to go through it anyway. There's a sense of purpose. There's a sense of belonging here, okay? So when we're talking about the chakras, when we're talking about the different kinds of chakras, we have the root chakra, that is earth, okay? That's going to be like your pentacle kind of cards. That's going to be a slow-moving card, and that's usually how it is because it's more about stability, security, and connection to the world. All right, when we're talking about the Ace of Wands, we're talking about not the second chakra up, not the sacral, but the solar plexus. And the solar plexus chakra is about going after something with purpose and drive and allowing your passions to almost consume you, right? Because when we're in a passionate state, sometimes we do things without thinking, and sometimes those things are beautiful because we're allowing ourselves to just be, just act in the moment, just be in the moment, and to be fully expressive, right? The secretive world that we have built up around us no longer helps us in what we're trying to do. It's a great place to escape to when things are tough, but when things are actually going well, and when we've worked through certain traumas in our life, we can use that to move forward and to go in a new direction. But like I said, take it step by step. Do small steps so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. The brain likes change, it does, but we have to do it in small ways. We have to do it in tiny ways. Little adjustments over time make big changes in the long run. Okay, so let's look at Wednesday coming up here. All right, shuffle these. Just gonna do this really quick. Oh, alrighty. All right, let's shuffle these cards a couple more times here. Let's get it all ready. 1 second, guys. Just checking my stuff here. All right. Okay, so let's shuffle our cards again, and let's do Wednesday's reading. These are more in a general sense when I do these readings, and it's more like kind of whatever comes through to me comes through. And when I say general, it can be spiritual, it can be love, it can be money, it can be so many things. So that's why we do the generals, is because it can go in so many different directions. I'm not just doing love, I'm not just doing relationships, it's about the generals. So let's see what we can do. Do another shuffle with these cards. Perfect. All right, let's move those over. Like I said, hopefully everybody had a good weekend. I know I did. Didn't do a live on Friday. I was not feeling up to it. And so I figured I would just skip Friday and come back to you guys fresh on Monday. So let's see what we can do that way. All right, one more shuffle with these cards. There we go, and then let's look at these cards here. This is the last deck I'm shuffling. I know it seems like it takes a minute, because it does, but we'll get right to it here in just a second. And then after we've done these, you guys are more than welcome to ask your questions. All right. Okay. All right, so let's do that. Let's do that. Gonna need to get new cards of the big variety that I got. My Energy Oracle cards, the lamination's starting to wear off on them. That won't make them nearly as pretty, but I guess that's what we have to do, right? Okay, so this is for Wednesday. So Wednesday we have Happy Family right here. Three of Swords in reverse. And the Two of Pentacles also in reverse. So there could be something happening with family. There could be something happening with, it could be family, it could be people we're close with. And what could be happening, since we have the Three of Swords in reverse, there could be something that's healed. There could be something that comes up that is healed from the past and that is showing us that it's important for us to move on. It's important for us to have our bearings that way. We also, though, we have the Three of Swords in reverse, but next to the Three of Swords in reverse, we have the Two of Pentacles in reverse. Two of Pentacles in reverse could be someone comes up to us, they give us an apology, but in our hearts, we don't know whether we should take it or not. We don't know whether that should be something that we do something with or not. And in that situation, if we're really on the fence with someone is apologizing to us because they behaved horribly, and, you know, that to me, that's kind of a personal thing, right? But the way we can have it be is if someone, you'll know if someone's apology is sincere because of this. So if someone is apologizing to you, if someone is saying, I'm sorry, after they have said, I'm sorry, after they have gone through that, if you do not respond right away and they get upset because they're like, hey, I said, I'm sorry. Can you please, not even, hey, I said, I'm sorry. You're an asshole. You're not responding. If it's a situation like that after someone has apologized, that's more of a manipulative kind of apology. If someone apologizes and you say something along the lines of, thank you, but I really need to think about this before I talk with you, and they're cool with that, that's going to be possibly a good sign that that's a good connection. You don't want to feel rushed in any situation, especially with friendships or even with family. You want to be able to feel comfortable and you want to be able to feel safe. And the only way that you can establish comfort, safety and trust with family after there's been some sort of disagreement or argument, or you haven't talked to each other for a while, is to say, hey, I'm here, and then to give each other space and let you guys figure each other out as time goes on. If there's any kind of rushing process, if there's any kind of, hey, I need a favor from you, that kind of thing, that's not a situation that we're looking for. So if we are suspicious of possibly getting back together or doing anything like that, I can understand that. But we have another way we can use this, okay? We can say, we don't want to go left or right. We could literally just say, instead of saying yes or no, we could say thank you for that. And you could just leave it at that. You don't owe the person anything. If it really was that kind of situation, if someone wants to apologize and get it off their chest, and if you feel like it's important for you to move on as well, say thank you, I appreciate that, and leave it at that. Okay, if someone does not respect that, someone doesn't understand that, that's on them. You have every right to say thank you and move on, or even look at it and not say anything. It depends on how you feel. I want you to understand that you're the one in power here. You're the one in charge, and allow yourself to be that way. Okay, allow yourself to be in charge. Allow yourself to express that kind of power that we're talking about here, because so much I've seen people get walked on. I've seen people get used, and I want you guys to know that not everyone is like that out there. There are really good people, but we have to be open to the right people, and that's why healing trauma is so important, because then we know what red flags look like when we're working with other people. We know how all of that stuff works, and so that's why I talk about that on the channel so much. That's one of the things I talk about, because I feel like in tarot, relationships really are that kind of situation, right? That's honestly what I'm feeling. Most of the time people come with relationship questions, and I feel like if the channel addresses those relationship issues, we can get a little more insight on that. That's going to help us moving forward, right? Okay, so let's put these up here. Or wait. That was the Two of Pentacles, so hold on one second. Two of Pentacles in reverse. I can remember things. Let's see. Two of Pentacles in reverse. I want to take a ride in a tiny hearse. All right, let's see what we're doing here. But I really shuffled that one. There it is. All right, and the reason I'm getting it back out, I'm trying to read all 6 cards kind of together. If I can make a narrative, if I can do that. It's a good way to challenge ourselves as readers, to focus on how we can bring something new. And I am an earth sign, so it's very difficult for me to focus on new things, but I'll try and bring that. Okay. I used 2 of the same cards on this one, instead of having one of the other cards, but we're going to go with it because I feel like that's how it was supposed to happen. Okay, so interestingly enough, we're going to be talking about this again. Okay, Wednesday. All right, very first card we have, the Energy Oracle card, is 3rd Chakra Archangel Shamuel. Pretty sure that's how you say the name. I'd have to look it up. But I'm pretty sure it's Shamuel. And then we have Ace of Swords. Right there, this time it's upright. This is in the other deck. The Ace of Swords for Tuesday was reverse, and it was in this deck here. It was one of these cards. Okay, so then we have the Knight of Swords, and this one is in reverse. So we could have Wednesday could be a day where we are retiring extreme ways of thinking about something. Okay, and this could be dealing with coming to terms with something. This could be dealing with understanding that other people can say they're sorry, and then you just move on, right? And another thing is, I want you guys to remember this. When people say they're sorry, sometimes if you're feeling up to it, if you're feeling like it's a genuine thing from you, you can say thank you very much, and then you move on. Okay, it helps you to move on. It helps you to have a sense of closure, and you can go from there. And another thing is that if someone does something, and if someone does something to us and it's a very bad thing, it's something that we can't forgive that person for, possibly for the rest of our lives. If that does happen, what we can do is, when we've reached a state where we can understand as much as we can and we can get to that place, what we can do is we can say, you know what? I forgive you, but not for you. I'm doing it for me. I don't want to hold on to this anger anymore. And what that does is you're putting that out there, but you're not saying I'm sorry to the person, and you're definitely not going to let that person back into your life if they did something especially bad. But what it is it lets go of the anger that's kind of holding you prisoner. When that time comes, then you can move into that space. But that is something that takes time. So, but you're forgiving the person for you. You're not forgetting the action. You're not forgetting what they did was horrible, because there's probably still no contact, hopefully, if what they did was that bad. But you're saying, I'm forgiving you for me. I don't want to hold on to this anger anymore. I don't want to feel this hot coal burning in my heart anymore. I want to move on. I want to have something where I can breathe easier and I'm not holding on to this anger. Okay? So that's something we can use moving forward. Now this right here, third chakra, Archangel Chamuel, okay? That is the solar plexus chakra. We were just talking about that with Tuesday, okay? Now, the solar plexus is a very, very interesting chakra, okay? This is generally the chakra used in mediumship, primarily, which is something I'm wanting to learn more of. I'm wanting to be in that space. But the third chakra, Archangel Chamuel, if the third chakra upright is about purpose and going after what you want in life, the third chakra in reverse could be that we are very overpowering, and we could be overpowering certain oppositions in a way that's not helpful. We could be speaking when someone else is talking and talking louder than them and not letting them speak. We could be, in some ways, there could be a bit of a bullying situation going on. Now, what this could mean is either we're doing the bullying, right? We're doing something where we can make things better eventually, because we're catching ourselves in this behavior, or someone else is doing something and it's allowing us to not feel heard. It's allowing us to feel like we're being steamrolled, okay? Because when I see the Ace of Swords right here, I do see that there's new ideas. I do see that there can be kind of extreme ways of thinking. The Knight of Swords next to the Ace of Swords could be extreme new ways of thinking. Or it could be that someone comes to us, they say they're sorry, but then there's like an ulterior motive. There could be something else going on. That's why I'm telling you guys to be careful in these kinds of situations, not to be pessimistic, not to be anything like that, but to be realistic with our expectations, so that way things, if they do crash and burn, it's kind of like, okay, we can sort of take it in stride, because we weren't expecting the moon anyway. And because we weren't expecting the moon, when we get a star, we're happy with that. When we get something, we're very happy with it. So it's important to keep our expectations in line with reality, and eventually that becomes easier and easier to do. So when we're talking about this kind of situation, if you feel on Wednesday, if you feel like it's in your nature to forgive and forget, that's great. But I don't want you to rush into forgiving anybody. I don't want you to try and make something work if it wasn't working before. Certain situations we move on from, and if we're not in contact with those people again because they were toxic, or they were very negative, or they were manipulative, or straight up evil, or liars, people that can't be trusted, that's okay. Those people go by the wayside. Those people do not deserve, in my opinion, those people, until they figured their stuff out, they don't deserve our attention. Because I feel like we're trying to work on ourselves the best way we can. And if other people aren't trying to do that, that's not fair to us, because we're trying to surround ourselves, or we're trying to be positive, not in a toxic way, not toxic positivity, but we're trying to see the world in a way where we're not lying to ourselves, we're not kidding ourselves, we're trying to see the world for what it is. And liars and manipulators will always try to make the world a little bit different, or a lot different, for how they see it, for what's going on with them. So if that's your situation, I'd say stay away from those people. Do not contact them again. But if your situation is that you feel like you can trust this person, you feel like there's something you can move on to, I'd say go for it. But really take into consideration what's happening here. Okay, so all right. I'm just looking at something here. Hold on. Okay, let me look here again. All right, I'm just checking my stuff here, so hold on. Okay, so let's do this. Let's put our cards up here. So if anyone has a question, we can now go into the questions. If it's like a question that anyone can benefit from, those don't cost anything at all. If you guys are just curious about something or you just want to chat, we can do that. But if it is a question where you gain something personally, like it personally helps you, like does so-and-so like me, things like that, what's so-and-so thinking, I do ask for money for those. But if you guys want to talk and just be part of the community, please feel free to do that. And we can go from there. In the meantime, I had something I wrote down here. So is anyone out there interested in developing kind of psychic ability or anything of that nature? When I'm talking about psychic ability, I'm talking about clairvoyance, clairaudience. Clairvoyance is seeing with the third eye. You can say it's the third eye. To me, it's just seeing, right? It's just seeing with your real eyes, right? It's just seeing with that kind of sense. I've never really had that feeling of like it's just right here and it's projecting outward. Some people, I guess, have had that, not necessarily me. But then we have clairaudience, which is clear hearing, which is being able to hear something that a spirit says. We have claircognizance, which is clear knowing. And that right there is going to be where information just comes into our head and we're like, oh, okay. And we follow it and we trust it, like kind of implicitly, like, oh yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely the truth. Even though we don't have proof of it, there's something that tells us there's something going on, okay? And this can be good, this can be bad, but there can be a feeling of like, okay, now I got it. So that's something that we're talking about too. Let's see, and then there's clairtangency, which is being able to feel things, right? And a lot of us have goosebumps, a lot of us have like a feeling of pressure and air around something, a static energy, hot, cold, those kinds of sensations, right? For me personally, when I'm feeling spirit or when I'm feeling energy, it's like my whole upper body feels kind of tingly, but more like the hair on my arms stand up, and it's kind of like I can feel this sense of energy. I can feel this rising sense of energy, and it has a dynamicness to it. And when I say dynamic, I mean it feels alive. It feels like it's alive, even though it is probably more than likely a disincarnate spirit, which disincarnate meaning without the body. So then we have clair empathy, being able to feel another spirit's emotions. That's another one we're talking about. And let's see, I'm trying to remember all of them. I feel like there's new ones all the time. I do feel like the next generation of psychics that are coming along are going to be even more evolved and more evolved, more evolved. And right now and I've talked about this on the channel a few times, there's the divine feminine in the psychic world, and then there's the divine masculine in the psychic world. And so the divine feminine, okay, the divine feminine would be like healing, right? So clairvoyance, 5D pixie, that's going to be seeing with our, okay, I didn't know if you did a typo on purpose. I was trying to do clairvoyance. Clairvoyance is where you can see that something is floating without actually looking at it. Yeah, you can see that something is floating without looking at it. So it's amazing. It's one of the best clairs you can have. Okay, it's perfect. It's the best one. So that's one thing. That's one thing. But yeah, there's all sorts of clair abilities. One of them, it's an interesting one. Of course, 5D Pixie. I am here for your entertainment. Well, okay, this is an interesting one. So there's the different clair abilities, right? One of them, and I feel like my guides do this sometimes. I'm still trying to get in touch with my guides. I'm still trying to understand what makes them tick, okay? And that's something I want to talk about here. So when I talk about guides, I'm not saying that it's this grand gesture. I'm not saying that it's this thing where, and I've talked about this on the channel, that I feel my guides, light shoots out of my ass, and then I'm like floating up in the air, right? With clairvoyance, the whole thing. I'm going up in the air. I'm doing that. If that was the case, there would be clairavoidance, because that would scare the hell out of me. I wouldn't do it. I would clearly avoid the situation. But the way I see it is that all of this kind of stuff is subtle. But we've been kind of taught, indoctrinated into a world where we feel like it has to be these grand gestures in order for us to feel something, and that simply is not the case. It starts out usually pretty small, and then it grows and it grows. But the reason why the sensations are becoming stronger is because you're able to perceive them. You're able to be even more sensitive, to be able to perceive them more. It's not because of anything else. It's kind of just you're becoming more sensitive to that world, and because of that, you're opening up more to it. And when you're more vulnerable and trusting to that world, you get more information and you get more kind of a sense about it, right? So that's something we can use moving forward with that. Now, like I was going to say, my guides, one of them, I feel like is a philosopher, okay? Goes over my head, a lot of the stuff that the guide says. I do feel like it goes over my head. And another thing I'm trying to use here is when I talk about my guides, I try not to refer to them as gendered necessarily. Sometimes I have in the past, but right now, where I'm at, gender, I feel like, is something that is a very human kind of thing. Gender is something that's very human of us to come up with, to say male, female. In the spirit world, I don't feel like that's the case necessarily. I do feel like if spirits were male or female, they can retain that if that's what they want to do. But I do feel like ultimately we kind of abolish the gender roles, or the gender of the spirit, and we sort of become kind of like we're this, we're that, we're nothing, sort of a thing. So I feel like identifying a spirit or a guide through gender, that's part of who the spirit is, but that is not who the spirit is. So when we're talking about guides, okay, getting a little ahead of myself. You okay, buddy? Meow. Okay. So we have the clairs that we were talking about, but one of the guides I have is a philosopher. Okay. The other guide that I feel like I have is a healer, or someone who works in medicine, or did work in medicine when they were alive in one of their lifetimes. Okay. I believe guides have had many, many, many lives. And so I feel like in one of their lifetimes, they were really good at with healing. They were really good in that kind of world. And so sometimes I'm able to feel different symptoms. Sometimes I'm able to feel and understand different things that are going on in the person's body if I connect with them in a way that is through energy healing, right? So that's something that can happen. Each person is going to develop their skills and their gifts very differently. And that's something that I feel like we need to kind of take a step back from and realize that everyone is different and no one is going to develop the same way. As soon as we start thinking that someone is going to develop the same way that we're developing, we've locked ourselves into a way of thinking that I feel like the schooling system, especially in America, has locked itself into. There's no adjustability. There's no flexibility. In the psychic or in the spiritual realm, flexibility is the name of the game. Without flexibility, we lock ourselves into a way of thinking where we feel like eventually we can get to the end. We feel like it's a problem that can be solved, and with psychic ability, that is not the case. With spiritual guidance, there is no problem to be solved. there is kind of an ever-going traveling situation that we're on, and we never really arrive to the destination because there is no destination. The traveling is the journey. Going on that is the journey, okay? So in spiritual principles, I do feel like if we're trying to seek an end to something, or we're trying to know everything we can about it, that's the wrong way to go about it. We need to be curious, and we need to keep our knowledge ever growing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of clairs, there's a lot of ways we can express these kinds of abilities. Now, that being said, in the book that I recommend on here all the time, okay, Deborah Lynn Katz, You Are Psychic, okay, in that book, she talks about something that is actually pretty interesting. So she talks about how as soon as a psychic, clairvoyant, medium, as soon as someone has taken the time to consciously observe someone else's story, okay, as soon as we've seen the images of someone else's story, we've seen the images of their past, kind of what could happen in the future, as soon as we've done that, we start helping that person to heal the trauma that they've gone through, which I think is very powerful, but I also feel like that is true. I've worked with people where we've had profound kind of experiences together, and it was in a very short amount of time. So I do feel like there's something to be held there. And the reason why I think that works without the spiritual mumbo jumbo is because of quantum physics. So with quantum physics, we talk about entanglement. We've talked about that a couple times on the channel. But I feel like quantum physics and psychic and spiritual things, I feel like they go hand in hand. I really do. In fact, I feel like I could be wrong in this, but I think if we, give me 1 second, I'm going to look at something really, really fast. I have a note I can make here. So, let's go into this. And we have this right here. Okay. I see where I'm wrong with this, but I still thought it was interesting. So, close. Psychic and physics, if you rearrange the letters, they almost come to spell each other, but not quite. But when we're talking about quantum physics, what I'm talking about is entanglement. So entanglement is an interesting kind of phenomenon, right? Where if you put two atoms next to each other, and they kind of attune to each other, no matter how far apart you take those atoms, no matter how far apart it is, they're going to be in tune. Okay, you could have them on the other side of the universe. If you touch one atom, the other atom is going to spin like it's been touched too, because they've been kind of connected. So I feel like in the psychic realm, in the quantum kind of psychic realm, when we're talking about this kind of energy, when we're talking about this, we're talking about being able to affect someone else from a distance. We're all connected anyway, but when we're consciously aware of that connection and we have someone and we're focusing on their story, it allows us to be able to heal them and for them to be able to heal us. A lot of times we're going to work with people that will bring challenges to us. A lot of times we're going to work with people that will bring us the most growth, that will bring us the most kind of understanding of ourselves. And so it's really important to work through our biases, to work through what's not working with us or for us. It's just important for us to stay open-minded, okay? Deborah Lynn Katz's book, You Are Psychic, very good book. If you guys are wondering about psychic ability, I would say check that out. There's a lot of other books too, but as a starting resource for psychic development, that's a really, really good book, okay? So that's something I would definitely recommend. So, then we kind of go into a different kind of area here. So I was talking about the guides that I was saying. And so I feel like if gender is a convention that humans have created, right? Man, woman, like, yes, there's differences. I understand it's good to have categories because the brain likes to have categories, yada, yada. But I also feel like naming something, having a name for something, that to me is a very human convention as well. That's something that humans have made up to categorize things, again, to categorize something. And humans categorize things to have a comparison to and a contrast from, so that we can understand what we do and we don't like in life, or what we are feeling and what we're not feeling. Okay, so that's kind of important. Humans are primarily storytellers, and we are also basically learning just from comparison. This compared to that, that compared to this. That's kind of how we learn. Okay. So with that being said, give me 1 second here. I'm gonna take a drink. All right. So with that being said, I feel like naming is a convention that humans have made up. So when a guide comes to us, if we're not talking about a name and we're not talking about a gender, how in the world could we identify a spiritual guide? How is that something we could do? So this is an important part right here. So when we're talking about spiritual guides, if they don't want to be known by a name, they don't want to be known by a gender, and you want to experience the fullness of interacting with a guide, they will be known by a feeling, by a sensation. That's going to be how you know that your guide is there. So it could be there's a touch on the shoulder. It could be there's like a brush or a touch on the shoulder. It could be there's something like what feels like tingling in the forehead or tingling in the crown, or there could be a pressure on our body somewhere. But that is how our guide is connecting with us. And you can view this as kind of like a calling card. Because we can't see them or experience them the same way we would with physical reality, we have to rely on our psychic senses. And our psychic senses, it's kind of like we have this aura that's all around us, right? And we do, it's not kind of. We have this aura that's all around us. And when we're focusing and we're developing our psychic ability, what we're really doing is we're strengthening the aura. We're strengthening the auric field so that our guides can communicate to us easier and so that we can understand the information we're receiving easier. So if you want to think of it like this, when we're first starting to develop our psychic ability, it's going to be like this very wavy, misty kind of an aura. It's going to be something, mist and fog and stuff like that does not have a sense of presence. Not really. It's kind of loosely organized and it can be easily dismissed. But as we go on, okay, as we go on and we start developing more and more, that kind of misty substance turns into more of like a watery substance. It turns more liquid. And that's really good because as we start to develop more and more and more, our aura can become more and more dense and stronger and stronger and stronger so that we can understand the information that we're getting. And instead of having a loosely connected network and not being able to get signs and signals as often as we would like to, we start being able to bring in that information and being able to clarify things as we move forward. So strengthening the auric field is absolutely a way that we can communicate with our guides and communicate with other people's energy as well. Okay, so the calling card to me is an important thing as we're talking about connecting. And I do believe there is a book that talks about the calling card. I cannot remember the name of the book. The medium, I'm pretty sure, is British, but that is not a surprise. Most mediums, it seems like, are British. It feels like a lot of mediums are in the UK, but that's because they have the spiritualist churches in the UK, and that's kind of a prevalent religious teaching there in the UK. In the United States, spiritual teachings, spiritualist teachings haven't necessarily taken as much of an effect, but in the UK they did. I mean, it really blew up. Okay, that's an interesting part of history as well. Okay, so as we are talking here about this, one thing that I feel like is important to remember is that there's no, and I keep saying this, there's no rush to the finish line. A lot of times in my spiritual experiences, I've given up. I've stopped whatever I was doing, and I tried to focus more on earthly things. I've tried to attain that level of kind of like, okay, I want to focus on material things. I want to focus in the material world, because sometimes being so high up in the vibrational sense, or being so high up in the ethers, so to speak, can make it so that we start becoming unbalanced, right? If there's too much upward energy, right, then there's not enough grounding us, okay? And when I say upward energy, I'm not implying that it's better than any other kind of energy. I'm just saying that it's more of a higher energy. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It just is what it is, right? And then the lower energy, the earthly energy, again, not good or bad. It just is what it is. Humans, again, like to put labels on certain ways of being, certain things. And I feel like labels limit so much. As soon as we label something, it's almost impossible for a human to unlabel it. Okay, and humans jump to conclusions super fast on labeling things, and it's not necessarily our fault. Our brains want to label something, categorize it, to either view it as a threat or not a threat. So it's kind of like a survival instinct. Eventually, we can get better with that. Spiders are still scary, and you know that's always going to be the case. But I'm just throwing that out there. Okay. So, is there any questions that you guys are having? If not, that's okay. I can just keep talking. You'd be surprised. Okay, so now with that being said, we can jump into some other kinds of abilities here. So we talked about the psychic connection, okay? And then there's a different kind of connection that we could be talking about too. So there's another connection where we're focused on, if you imagine psychic ability is connecting with the background of a photograph. Okay, I want you to imagine you're holding a photograph. There's a person standing in front in the foreground, and then there's just the background. Okay, so there's the subject, and then there's the background. There's the back, part of the image that's back behind everything else. So psychic ability is focusing on all of the image that's around the person. And when I say all of the image, I'm talking about psychic ability is like focusing on past things, focusing on different kinds of situations like that. But when we're talking about mediumistic ability, we're talking about being able to connect with the subject of the photograph. We're talking about being able to connect with the person that's standing in the foreground of the photograph, because when we're connecting with the background and it's psychic information, it's not dynamic. It's not alive. It's not going to be new information. It's going to be kind of a static, like almost like you're reading a book. If you want to imagine psychic ability as like reading a book, then mediumship ability would be like hearing that same story, possibly, but from the person telling it, and being able to understand different things, being able to understand inflection and tone and different things like that. So it's really important for us to be able to understand how these things kind of go together. Mediumship ability, I do feel like happens as a natural progressive kind of situation with psychic ability, okay? We get to develop however we want. We get to develop however fast we want. We get to develop however we want. But as long as we're putting something or some sort of effort towards developing, we will keep developing. But during this process, it's important to not beat ourselves up, and it's important not to compare ourselves with other people. Something that I've wanted to do on this channel, it's kind of a scary thing to do, right? Is I wanted to show kind of going, and I've sort of documented that, but I've wanted to show someone going from understanding psychic ability exists and it's real to trying to be able to express it myself. A lot of times we see the medium go from there's nothing, we see the psychic or the medium go from there's nothing of their past to all of a sudden they're very successful. Right, so what happens in that middle part? What happens in the middle ground? What does the story of a psychic or a medium actually look like? Okay, and that to me is an interesting thing, because psychics and mediums should have a level of integrity and honor, okay, and they should have a sense of kind of like a sacred responsibility with the information that they're giving. But at the same time, they shouldn't be too serious either. There's some contradictory things there. But it's sort of like when I talk about being flexible, that's one of the things I'm talking about. That's kind of the thing that I'm talking about, because in order to be truly in the spiritual center, in order to be truly in the what they call the power, the spiritual communication, the power, in order to truly be in that, we have to be adaptable and we have to be ready to receive anything that comes at us, okay? The best way I can describe it would be another analogy, and that would be this. With mediumship ability, you go in and you're setting up a room that someone can paint in. You're setting up a room, you have a canvas in the middle of the room, you have the easel, you have the paints, you have everything out, okay? Every single thing you could think of is out for a creative something to happen. And then you just leave the room. And then spirit comes in and they start painting on that canvas. And then your job is to tell the other person what spirit is painting on the canvas. And through that way of storytelling, we can kind of get an understanding of evidential mediumship. And that's showing that there is life beyond physical death. There is a sense of spirituality beyond physical death. And having that evidence for so many people helps to provide closure. It helps to provide a sense of like, oh, they are still with me. They are still there. And it helps us to not feel like everything's lost when we're gone. In fact, it's not. It's kind of like they just go backstage, right? They go backstage, but we're still performing our play. But the people that have passed on are backstage, and now they're just watching from backstage. But when our performance of life is over, when things have, the final curtain has finally fallen and we've passed away, then we get to go backstage. We get to see who's back there. We get to see who's waiting for us. But that's kind of the situation that we're talking about here. So, yeah, I'm going to go to the bathroom, guys. I will be right back. So give me 1 second here. And I will be right back, okay? All right. All right. Okay, so as we're moving forward here, as I said, if you guys have anything that you want to ask, as long as it's not just a personal question for you to gain something from it, but it's like something that everyone can benefit from, please go ahead and ask. But in the meantime, all right, let's look at some stuff. Hi, Manju. I am doing good. How are you doing, my friend? Just talking about psychic ability and developing different abilities. Good. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. How was your weekend? Mm. I'm gonna light another incense. So hold on tight just for a second here and let me see what incense we got. All right. So we have this one was Clary Sage. Let's see, which else do we have? We got a. Let's do a Dragon's Blood. This is kind of a little bit more powerful of a scent. Doesn't mean it's bad though. It just means it's more powerful, right? A little more potent. I'll be out of your hair soon, Hazel, I promise. Give me 1 second. I'll turn around here. Yeah, Mercury and Retrograde draining. Yes. I've been having weird technical issues. I have an adjustable bed that luckily I got it working again, but it decided not to, just to kind of stop working. Instagram, WhatsApp. I mean, there's been a whole thing there. I think Mercury and Retrograde. This one feels a little bit more powerful, a little bit more potent than what we're used to. It does feel like it's a little bit stronger, right? There's a little bit more power behind this one. But I feel like that's kind of the name of the game, I guess. That's kind of how it is. So I'm going to ask you this, Manju, and if you don't have a spiritual related question, that's okay. But it's very yeah. Thank you. I'm curious, Manju. So, do you have a question, like a general question? It wouldn't cost any money for a general question. Like if you're wondering about a spiritual ability, or you're wanting to talk about something like that, or you have a question in a spiritual sense that other people could benefit from. That's not just does this person like me, or what is this person thinking? If it's something that everyone can benefit from, and you have a question, please feel free to ask, and I'll try and answer. And those ones I don't charge for because it's conversation, right? We should be able to talk to each other. If you don't though, if you feel like I'm putting you on the spot, you don't have a question, that's okay too. Trust me, I can talk my way to anything. I promise. In the meantime, because I know you signed up for the class, your email. Go for it, Manju. Shoot me that query. I like that you said query, by the way. I don't hear that very much. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Okay, so if you want to have something, okay, Manju, what I feel like is the best thing we can do with a journal that's full is, if it is a manifestation journal, burn it. That can be something that we do. When we write something down and then we burn it, it makes it so that we're no longer like wanting necessarily that thing. We can become more in line with it. It's kind of a more ritual mindset, right? So if we write something down and we burn it, okay, you start writing on a new moon. That's good. That's good. So I would honestly say, yeah, I would honestly say burn it. If you feel like it's got everything that you want and that you've desired, if we burn it, we can start releasing some of that energy, because when we write, I do feel like we're putting in a lot of psychic energy, a lot of that creative energy, and when we burn it, we're kind of releasing that energy. We're sort of taking that energy and we're putting it out into the ether so that it can become manifested. Right? So that's an important thing to focus on. I feel like when we're talking about manifestation, that we need to focus on the part where we let go. If all we're doing all the time is focusing on manifesting something, or a few different things, we're not letting it go. We need to let go of the manifestation so that it can take wing and it can fly and it can do what it needs to do. Every time we think of a manifestation, every time we think of having this thing or doing this thing, we can actually make ourselves further away from it, because we're not trusting that the universe. Right. Okay. So hold on. I'll address that, Manju. But when we're holding on to it, we're not trusting the universe. We're saying, you know what, I think I can do this better. I'm just going to keep thinking about it. We're not allowing it time to grow. It's like, imagine this kind of situation. There's a beautiful flower in your yard. It's this gorgeous flower. You go out and you water it. And you water it every hour. And you keep watering it, you keep watering it. That flower is going to die. It's going to die because you love it, you think it's really pretty, but you're watering it so much, and because of that, there's an imbalance. You're not letting it flourish. You're trying to kind of smother it, right? So burning it does make it real, and it does help you to let go. There's a bunch of rituals you can do, but to me, burning, I feel like that's kind of a more powerful kind of ritual. Does that make sense, Manju? Just want to make sure that makes sense. So I'm going to say this right now. So when we're talking about the ritual part of it, it's up to you, Manju. If you believe that the full moon, honestly, here's how I think about it. If you believe the full moon does have power, that it has that kind of strong power, and the full moon does have energy, absolutely. But if you feel more comfortable on burning it on a full moon, I'd say do it. If you feel like you could do it anytime, I'd say go with that. It's up to you and how you feel about that process. If you feel like the full moon is a very magical, powerful thing, then burn it on the full moon. But if you feel like there could be another day that could be better, then I would say go with that as well. A lot of the ritual part of this is it's more about intention than it is about anything else. The ritual is meant to engage our mind more than anything, but the intention is meant to engage the spirit and the manifestation that we're pushing forward. So to me, that's how I think. That's kind of what I believe in. But if you feel like the full moon would be good, I'd say go with that. It's a personal thing. It is a very personal thing. They talk about chaos magic, right? Chaos magic meaning that you do it without necessarily any steps or any guidance. You just kind of go out, you do it, you have an intention, and things can happen. So it depends on what your intention is, and I mean that's basically it. What's our reason for wanting something? Are we getting rid of the things that are limiting us from having that thing, right? So someone may want a good relationship. Okay, and I've brought this up before on the channel. Someone may want a really good relationship to come into their lives, and they're manifesting what would feel like the perfect person to come into their life, right? But they're not doing anything to achieve what they would want this person to have. So they want someone that's nice and respectful to them. But if they are constantly surrounded by people who don't see their worth, or people, basically, if you haven't set boundaries for yourself and you haven't found out who you really are, and that kind of thing, then wanting this perfect person, it's like you're wanting it, but you're not doing any of the work. We can want it, but we do have to work for it too. We have to take steps towards it, because just wanting it to happen doesn't work. Okay? It's like if you want to be hired, you want to get a job, just wanting the job isn't good enough. You have to put out a resume. You have to do certain steps to try and get that job, because if you just sit around, it's not going to happen, right? And so that's kind of the situation. I feel full moon and new moon are very powerful, but my only worry is every ritual. Let's see, every ritual, should that starts well, should end well. Are you okay? I'm a little confused with this one. I'm going to try and interpret this. Are you saying that you want it to be like a starting process, and then there's an end? There's a clear start and a clear end to the process. Is that what you're saying? Like you want it to be on the new moon to start, and then on the full moon to end. Is that what you're saying? I just want to make sure so I don't assume anything. Because you know what they say about assuming? It makes asses out of you and me. In my opinion here, okay. I've heard, okay, let's see what you say. I've heard many say that new moon is to manifest and full to release. So does releasing mean to let go, or does it mean to make it happen? Okay, so releasing means to let go, okay? I want you to view it like the chakras. All right. Watch as I struggle to get comfortable, but I'm there now. Okay, so in the chakra system, Manju, there's certain ways that these kind of interact with each other. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure so that I wasn't like talking over you and telling you information that would not help you. So thank you for clarifying that. That does help me. All right, so this kind of situation, when we're focusing on the chakras, I'm going to jump straight to chakra 3 and chakra 4, because they kind of go into, if we talk about the chakras, we then can understand the universe in a way, okay? Because I believe humans have chakras, and I believe the universe operates on a macrocosmic scale to have some sort of chakra system as well. Possibly. I feel like if humans have chakras, I feel like there's other things that could possibly have chakras or could have something similar, right? Associated burning with destruction, hence needed clarity. Okay, okay. Awesome, Olivia Pam, we'll get right to your question. Thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. Let me put you on the list here. I'm just addressing Manju's question. I'll clarify this in just a second, and then I'll address your question, Olivia Pam. Thank you for coming to the channel again. Hopefully you are doing okay. Let me go here and put you on the list. Right here. Okay, there we go. All right, so the third chakra is about manifesting. It's about purpose, desire, and drive, right? It's more about drive than desire necessarily. That could be the second or the sacral chakra, but it's about drive and willpower. So the third chakra is about finding out what we want and going for it. So if we talk about the different chakras, I'll start with the first one. The first chakra is about stability and connection to the earth and feeling secure in our environment. So it's about establishing some sort of safety net, some sort of home base. And generally that forms when we're very, very small. Like basically, right, when we're born, the root chakra is kind of coming into play. When we're talking about the sacral chakra is about choice. Okay, it's about going left or right. It's about understanding that we have free will, and because of that free will, we also have free choice, and we can decide what we want to do or what we don't want to do in any given situation. There will be consequences, but we get to decide what we do and what we don't do. Okay? The third chakra is about taking a choice, sticking with it, and saying, you know what, I'm going to guide this through. I'm going to go to the very end. Right? The fourth chakra, though, is about releasing. The fourth chakra is about releasing it and having things come to us. The fourth chakra is about love and unconditional love. And with unconditional love, we love whatever it is that we're seeing in front of us. And we continue to love that, and we continue to grow with that. Now, does that mean if we're in a relationship that is not healthy, that we stay in that relationship no matter what? No. There has to be a sense of evolution and a sense of growth. If there is something that's bombarding that, that's not going to help us grow. But the fourth chakra is about releasing and letting things come to us that can come to us. Okay? I want you to imagine it like if I have a fist like this, okay? If my fist is like this, and someone is trying to hand me... No, Olivia Pam, you are just fine. You are absolutely... Do not worry about that, my friend, at all. I'll get to your question. I'm just addressing Manju's question, but you are free when you pay. You're free to ask your question. I'm just letting you know I'm going to be just a little bit of time before I get to your question. I'm just letting you know that so that we can move on here. But hopefully that's okay because I'm addressing this. So when we put fire onto something, when we burn something, we're allowing that thing to take the form or the energy that it needs to take in order to help us, in order to guide us. And fire is an interesting thing. Fire can be destructive, absolutely. But there are certain, especially in Utah, there are certain trees that can only grow, like the seeds will only sprout and bloom if there is a fire. Because the stuff is so dense, the seed, the thing protecting it is so dense that fire actually helps the land grow. And if you think about it like this, the earth, before it was this lush green thing, right? There was volcanoes that erupted. There was hot molten lava everywhere. But over time, that became rich soil. That became the minerals that helped the planet. That became the earth itself. And so fire may be destructive, but it is also very creative in the way that it solves things too. Fire is the phoenix rising from the ashes kind of a situation. It's not just destructive. Any of the elements, there is no good or bad to the elements. It's not just destructive energy. So that's my stance on that. Manju, you let me know what you think with that. And the reason I brought up the chakra systems, the reason I brought that up is because I feel like if we have that inside of us and those types of energy centers inside of us on a microcosmic scale, then there has to be a macrocosmic equivalent. There has to be a universal equivalent, meaning that the universe operates on that same kind of system to some degree. There has to be some sort of similarity there, if that makes any sense. Again, this is what I think, this is what I feel to be true for me right now, and I'm just telling you from my perspective. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. I'm not going to be offended. I'm still learning too, so there's a lot I still need to learn. Okay. An itch in my ear. And honestly speaking, I do believe the thing that destroys manifesting more than anything else is when we try to think our way into manifesting, but we're not taking action, and we keep thinking about it, we keep thinking about it, we keep wanting it, but we never release it. Releasing it is a huge part of the process, because it's kind of like if you're playing fetch with a dog, okay, you throw the ball, okay, that's you releasing your intention, and then the universe brings it back to you. The universe brings it back to you. That's the universe. That's the dog coming back to you. That's the universe. But if you just hold on to the ball and you never throw it, the universe is just sitting there looking at you saying, okay, what do I do? What do I do? The universe would never be like that, but it's saying you're holding on to a potentiality, and because you have a lot invested in it, sometimes it's hard to let go, but letting go actually helps it to manifest. Hopefully that makes sense. Just making sure, I'm looking at something here really quick. Whew. Okay, I don't know if you're still there, Manju, but I'm okay. Okay, lost you in between. So hopefully you can go back, Manju, and you can hear what I said on that. Just go back a little bit, hear what I said. I think I'm going to focus on Olivia's question. I'm going to go to the bathroom again really quick, and then I'm going to focus on Olivia's question. So I want you guys to stay tuned, and you guys can also check this out as well. And I'm just going to say this: if you guys appreciate the work that I do have a Patreon if you want to support me on that. It also makes it so your questions are less. It costs less money. So depending on what tier you go on Patreon, it'll make it that way. Hi, Lady Libra. How are you doing? It's been a minute, right? So like I said, I'm going to put that up. If you guys want to check it out, you can. But here's what I have here. So guys, I'm coming right back. So give me 1 second. Alrighty, Libra, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that stinks. Here's an idea. Don't sleep ever again. It's not a good idea, but you know, it balances out. No, it's good to get to bed early. If you can sleep early, do sleep early. But I tend to be a little bit of a night owl myself. Not as much as I used to be, but yeah. Sometimes I miss my shows too. Literally, I just don't show up. So it happens. But it's good to have you here for now. It's good to have you here right now. Okay, so let me look at this. Olivia, are you there? I'm ready to go for your question. So hopefully I can see that you're still in the chat. We can go from that. Even though I can't answer this question, I feel like we can move between here. So let's do this. Hold on one second. Okay. And like I was saying, if you guys do like the work I do, if this is something you appreciate, you do get discounts on questions if you go onto my Patreon. The link is down below. For I think it's $4.99 a month. You guys get a 30% discount, and then it keeps going up off of that. So if you guys have questions or you just want to support the channel, that is something. Well, I'm here now, so let's do this. Let's see what we can focus on here. I'm also thinking of releasing Patreon exclusive content. So basically videos that will not be on YouTube, but only on Patreon. So if you guys are interested in that, just give yourself a little time to think about it. All right, so let's do this here. So Olivia is wondering, she's wondering if her boyfriend has a child, and to tell me, please, if you see or feel that it's a boy or girl. Thank you for the help. Okay. So does Olivia's boyfriend have a child? Alrighty. Let's look here. All right. Okay, so I get all tied up in reverse right here. Then I get second chakra, Archangel Ariel. The second chakra is an interesting card. You'll see that she's holding a sphere, kind of where I don't know where the reproductive system would be on an angel, but I would imagine it'd be close to the center bottom part of the body. But she's kind of holding an orb around that spot. So what that means to me is that there could be something happened here. When I see all tied up in reverse, though, I'm wondering if that can link to a possible, maybe a vasectomy or not. I'm not sure, but maybe there is infertility issues. Maybe there is a child, and we'll feel more into that. But primarily, I'm seeing that. I'm wondering if there's like a distance issue. I'm wondering if there's something going on there, but it does. I'm almost feeling, honestly, like there's a little girl, if I can be honest. No, Olivia, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You also paid. So you're good, okay? You kind of get to guide the show a little bit. But I am feeling like there could possibly be, it feels like there could possibly be a little girl. but I'm wondering if there's a strained relationship or if there's something going on there. I'm wondering if there's a distance issue. I'm wondering if there's something going on there, either emotional distance or physical distance. That's kind of what I'm feeling. But let me see what else I can get here. So, here is... Okay. So maybe there is some truth to that then. So that's kind of what I've been feeling. Why am I'm being shown hair, but I don't know what hair would have to do with anything. So I'm trying to understand the symbology here. When we get psychic messages, sometimes there's symbols that come through. Sometimes they're symbols, and sometimes they're literal. And so I'm trying to figure out what that would mean. First thing, though, would the little girl be... I feel like it's maybe 1 to 4 or 1 to 3 years old. I'm wondering if it's an H name, that her name starts with, like Haley or Hannah, or something with an H, possibly, that her name starts with, or maybe the last name is with an H. I'm not sure, but I feel like there's an H, something H. Okay. Let me see here. Just give me a second here and let me keep getting information. So I'm gonna do this. And her name is Helena. Okay, so Hannah. Okay. So the H name could all right. Okay, so give me just a second as I'm focusing here. You're not doing anything wrong. When I say give me a second, it's more like I'm telling myself to give myself some time to think. It's not because you're like messing up my vibe or anything, because you're not. You're actually helping me because you're helping me to verify the information. So I'm going to do what's called scrying. Okay, I'm using this. Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate that. You're very kind. But as I'm focusing here, we're going to do scrying. Okay, and I've talked about this before. I'm also using this as a teaching platform to help people with their psychic abilities and to help that. So when we're scrying, all I'm doing is taking this pencil and I'm just doing this. Okay, you can hear it. I'm just going like this. I hope you guys can hear that. All I'm doing is scribbling. Okay, and that scribbling can lead to me picking up more information. This helps some mediums or psychics to connect more. So the hair coming in, and the name with an H. So the hair was meant to be an H. But the hair could also be, let me look at this. Okay, so let's look at this. I'm just going to look up something really fast, just so that I understand something. I'm feeling like there's 2016, so maybe we're 5 to 6 actually. But let me look and see. No. Or yeah, okay, never mind. I was looking up something else. I was thinking hair in the way of the rabbit in the Chinese zodiac. I do feel young. A zodiac sign. So let me see if I can find a zodiac sign. Okay, so a zodiac sign that I feel like I'm picking up on, this isn't going to narrow it down a ton, but this does narrow it down. So I'm either feeling like it's going to be Libra, so September, October. I do believe that's when Libra is present, or is it? No, because Scorpio comes in. So it's September, October for Libra, or I think that it is a Capricorn, Taurus, or Virgo sign. What I saw was a house, but I also felt like the house could be split in two. So it could be Libra holding the scales, the two scales, or it could be a Gemini as well. Like I said, I don't know about. Oh, the sign of the father. Okay. I was focusing on the girl. Let's look at the sign of the father and see what we can get here. Let's box that up and let's look at this. But just to see if I could find one more confirmation. Okay, so the first thing I got, I'm still learning with this information. I'm still trying to understand it as much as I can, but I'm feeling maybe a Cancer or a water sign. Hopefully that's correct. But the first thing that came through was like a Cancer or a water sign is what I was feeling. But then September 25th, I feel like comes up as well. For some reason, September 25th comes up, and I don't know why that would come up. No, September 25th. Hopefully that helps kind of answer the question that you had. I'm still new with connecting with my psychic ability. I'm still trying to tune into that kind of sense. And so it helps me to have someone say, if it's, it helps with validation or helps with verification. It helps me to move forward. No, he's an Aries. Okay, so that happens sometimes, right? So if he's an Aries, I can get that. Maybe one of the other signs is possibly a Cancer. I don't know. September 25th, though, I'm either thinking this year or next year, but I mean, this year it just happened, but for some reason the date September 25th came up. I don't know what that's referencing to, but I'm just letting you know I got the date September 25th or 9/25. Yeah. Not getting a lot more information on that, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with September 25th. If it didn't happen this year, I would want to do another question regarding September 25th when it gets much closer to the date, because if that is the case, September 25th is like a year away, almost, for it to be coming up again. And I wouldn't want to do a reading where I'm reading too far into the future. So that's just something that I had was September 25th. And if nothing happened this year, then it could possibly be next year. I just felt like some sort of significant event for you would be happening on September 25th. Don't know what it is yet, but that's kind of a feeling that I had. Oh, there we go. So hopefully that kind of helps answer the question. And really stay on your toes with this. We've talked about this before, but in this kind of situation here, really just be on the lookout, because we had this. Oh, okay. I'll put you on the list, Manju. Hold on. And thank you for the donation, Manju. I do appreciate that. Okay. And let me see here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to do this. There we go. Now you can see a little bit more of me. And there we go. All right, so now you can see a little bit more of me. And like I said, guys, please remember to like and subscribe if anyone's watching here and they're like, should I subscribe? So for Olivia, for that, it would be another 13 if you wanted to do that. Or like I said, if you feel like you're going to be asking questions on here a lot, you can check out my Patreon down below and sign up to one of the tiers on there, and then it won't cost you as much in the long run, because it would be like $5 a month, and then you get a 30% discount if that's something you want to do. If not, I would say 13 for here, just because it helps offset the Google takes about 30%. So that's why my questions are a little more, you know that though. But what I'll do is I'll address Manju's question, and then I'll go back to you if you want to do another question. Okay. Hopefully that's fair to you. I try to be as fair as I can, but if there is another question, I usually do ask for you know, money for another question. Okay, so Manju says, I've been trying to move out of country for better career option. This is me having trouble here. I've been trying to move out of country for better career options, but not been able to. It's as if the universe is stopping me. I don't know what to do, as even on planning stage, things go haywire, and I have no desire to stay back. Okay, so let's look at that. And let me see what I can do here. So I'm going to shuffle some cards, and then we'll see what additional insight we can get. If I can get something psychically, if that's okay, if I connect with you psychically, then we can do that. Automatically right now, I'm feeling a pain right here, right under my rib. And that to me is like there's a stagnant feeling. Obviously there's something where there's non-progressive movement, and so it feels like there's a blockage here. I don't know if you experience anything in the stomach or any kind of issues here, but I feel like that's something I'm feeling. So I was just going to let you know. Let me see what we can get though. Hey, buddy. Yeah. Are you a good boy? Okay, you do. Okay. So that's what I was feeling there. So there's a little bit of some energy that needs to be kind of pushed through. A little bit. So what we'll do, Manju, if you would like, I'm going to do a reading for you. We could also do a little bit of some energy too. It wouldn't be anything super long, but we could do another little bit here. Now the energy would be about, I'd say about 4 or 5 minutes, but we could do that. Oh, okay, Olivia, I'm sorry. That's on me. Okay, Olivia, that's on me. The reason why I said it the way I did is that I'll have some people pay for one question and they'll ask me 3 or 4. So I'm not, okay. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt from now on. I am sorry about that. You work in this line of work, you know, you get suspicious, but you've been great. So yes, you absolutely can ask a question. You can ask as many as you want. That's always an option. You'll be after Manju now because of how things have worked, but yeah, that's always an option. But Manju, if you would like, we could do a little bit of energy work. But like I said, it's going to be after we do the reading here. If you'd want to do another $5, you can do the energy. You do not have to. That is not something you have to do. That's an option that you have. Okay? You don't have to do it. But I'm just giving that as an option. Okay. Again, you don't have to do that. But, okay. So let's do this. Let's do the reading first, and then go from there. Usually when I connect with energy, I can understand things better. I can kind of get in touch with something more. And now that pain is starting to dissipate, but I'm starting to feel spirit coming around me, so I'm trying to understand. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Patience. That one again. That's interesting. Action. That's really interesting, Manju. I feel like this describes your situation perfectly, what the cards are showing. So hopefully we can get a solution to this. But check this out. So I'll show you the cards. I don't know if the tarot has a sense of humor, but this is fascinating to me. So our first card that we get is patience. Okay? I feel like that's you. I feel like you're patiently waiting. I do feel like you're a patient person, but it's gotten to a point where you're like, how long can I be patient for? Right? It's gotten to that kind of point. But then here's this part right here. I get all tied up in reverse. Okay? This is showing that there wants to be movement. You're wanting movement. You're wanting some sort of progression very badly. You're wanting to have some sort of, just any sort of progress. You want to have something that's reaching you more towards a goal instead of something that's holding you back. Completely understandable. You have a desire. That desire is evolving into a longing. You're wanting to move forward. You're wanting to have something happen. But then I get this card. I get the action card. And so what this is telling me right now, like you said, in the planning stages, it seems like things go haywire. But I'm feeling like that we can approach it in a slightly different way. So if things are getting to the point where it's very hard for us to move forward, it's very hard for us to move forward with some sort of goal in mind. Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate that. I do. I really do appreciate that. You see all sorts of stuff in this line of work, and so it really just depends. But I appreciate that you're on the up and up. That's awesome. Helps to support the channel, which is great. That's awesome. But for you, Manju, there has to be a sense of, like, a sense of completion. And I feel like you're not getting that. And because of that, we're feeling like we're stuck. And the pain that I had, I'm not feeling it anymore. I think it was right here. That pain to me felt like I'm just kind of hitting my head against a wall. I'm just not feeling like there's any sort of progress. So let's look at what the next card's going to be. So what can Manju do? I've got an idea of something you can do, but let's see what the cards have to say, and maybe we can combine those two messages together. So let's look here. What can Manju do? I was getting a little bit of a headache on the right side just a second ago. And then I'm wondering, Manju, is there anything with your teeth at all? Do you have any tooth pain, or do you have sensitive teeth? Because for some reason I was feeling like teeth, and then I was feeling like my back was feeling sore too. Anyway, so what solution do we have for these problems? Okay. Okay, so right here, we get Angel of Love in reverse, okay? Gotta shake it out, gotta get that to focus. Angel of Love in reverse, right underneath. Looking for my card. Oh, you name it, and I have a pain in that part. I like that both of you used the laughy face. That's a good face. Back, head, neck, blah, blah. Okay, so that explains what I'm feeling here. So the energy work, if you want to do that, like I said, the extra $5, we can do that. We can focus a little bit on doing some clearing. But, okay, you don't need that. You don't need to have that in order to have success. I have other things that can help. Olivia, I've looked for my card many times, and there have literally been times where I'm holding it in my hand. I am holding it in my hand, and I'm walking around my house wondering where the hell my card is. Where the hell is it? It's in my damn hand. It's been there the whole time. Anyway. Or, because I wear glasses, I've wondered where my glasses are. They were on my face. Kind of hard to see them, because I'm wearing them. Anyway, enough about me. But, so we have Angel of Love here, Manju. When Angel of Love is in reverse, it feels to me like we're trying to push progress where I feel like we should be accepting things, not saying the situation you're in you don't want to get out of. I do feel like you want to get out of it, but I feel like there's a sense of desperation on wanting to get out, and that sense of desperation can keep us tied to a place because we're not trusting in the universe to provide us a way out because we're feeling like there's a desperation for us to get out, if that makes any sense. And I feel like we worry ourselves sick, and I feel like there's a sense of stress here. So I feel like there's stressors that contribute to this kind of energy that feels stuck. Absolutely, that's what I feel. Now, okay. Oh. But that's what I'm feeling. Moving forward, that's what I'm feeling. But what we can do to move out of that, Manju, is... Okay, let's focus on manifestation. Let's start with the basics of manifestation, okay? The basics of manifestation is we need to put ourselves in a spot where what we have now is enough. When we focus on the present moment and what we have now being enough, it becomes easier to get more things because we're appreciating the now moment that the universe has given us. Because subconscious or conscious, we asked for these experiences, okay? And when we're grateful for the experiences we've had, when we understand and we're grateful for what's going on and we can learn more and more, the universe will give us more and more things to be grateful for and more things to appreciate. But if there's a sense of desperation and wanting to escape and wanting to get out, the reason why it's going haywire is because you want it so bad. And I know that sounds asinine. I know that sounds backwards. But it's because you want it so bad that the universe can't give it to you, because what you're doing is you're putting a message out to the universe that is saying, I want this to happen. I want this to happen. And what the universe is saying, okay, I'm going to give you more experiences where you really want to leave, but you're not going to be able to because you're wanting to leave. We're not focusing on the present moment tense where it's, I have left. This is a new beginning. This is me starting over. Instead, we're focusing on, I want to leave. I want to have a new beginning. I want to start over, okay? And the best way I can summarize this is it's kind of like this situation, okay? Let's say I'm a person. I can check that box off. I am a person. But let's say I'm a person, and let's say that my desire, I want to manifest $1 million. Okay, I want to manifest $1 million. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to manifest $1 million. And I'll say these words. I'll say, I want to manifest $1 million. I want to manifest $1 million. Time goes on and time goes on. And the only thing I'm attracting to myself is situations where I want $1 million, but I don't have it. But I want it. I'm attracting more of the I want situations to me than I have situations to me, and it creates frustration. So we need to focus on using present tense words, I have, or I am, or it is, things like that, like present tense words instead of using what I want or I need this to happen, I want this to happen. Hopefully that helps, Manju, but that's what I'm feeling there. So does that make sense? See something here. Okay. Yes, it does. I'm going to read this. Yes, it does, but I feel that even when I'm trying to start the paperwork, things come to a halt, so I don't know if I should give up for the time being. So, yeah, right now, Manju, I'm seeing like right now things are at a halt. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and I do mean a lot. And I think you know that too, obviously. But I feel like the best thing to do now is to put it off for a time, and then we can focus on other things for the time being. We can focus on being grateful for the now moment. We can focus on that, and then we can have more moments to focus on and more moments to be grateful for. But I understand we're trying to start the paper process. Makes sense. That's why we get patience, okay? That's why we get all tied up in reverse. And that's why we get action. That's why these 3 cards came out, is because you're in a state of patient action. And I feel like because you're in that state of patient action all the time, this is causing stress. I feel like for you personally, this is causing stress. This can be causing illnesses. This can be causing you to just not feel right. And I feel like right now, if we focus on this being something that is on the back burner for the time being, maybe 3 to 6 months, and then trying again, I feel like that's going to be the best thing. Because right now, if it's not working, I would say take a step back. It's going to just drive you crazy because it'll keep kind of hitting a halt. It'll keep kind of stopping. But in the meantime, you can focus on what you have now, what we can be grateful for now, and kind of come from that mentality. And I know that can be hard to do. I'm not saying don't have dreams, don't have aspirations. Hey, love, how are you doing? But I am saying that maybe for now, we just focus on what we have, and then we can get more of what it is that we really want. But we need to align ourselves with it by using I have statements, I am statements. So love, absolutely, be patient. And I know that's hard to do. So love, if you're going to do it through Google, like just a super chat, it would be $13. If you're going to do a question through PayPal or Cashapp, that's $10 a question. I just charge more because Google takes a percentage of every time someone pays. So I do charge more if you pay through super chat, but if you want to do $10 through Cash App or PayPal, I have the links right here. And they're also down in the description, but they're right here. So if that's something you feel comfortable with, you can absolutely do that. You can see how I work with other people if you're kind of on the fence about it. But welcome to the channel, and I appreciate you stopping in. Okay. But patience is one of those things it's difficult. It's difficult no matter how we slice it, so to speak. All right. So let me do this here. Just looking through here. There we go. Hey James, how's it going, buddy? And let's do this here. So we have Olivia, we have Manju Pay. So right, becoming more of right. So you're making yourself sick by the waiting or by the inactive energy. So something that can happen. Okay, so let's focus on this, Manju. Let's focus on this. So when we're focusing on I need to change this or I need to change that, I always talk about it on the channel, and it's a gentle process that we start out with. So it's going to start with you making small steps and taking small steps, and then over time those small steps lead to big changes. But it's important to start out very small because a lot of people will want to bite off more than they can chew. And because of that, they give up on wanting to change or on wanting to develop a new skill or on wanting to make themselves stronger in some way. They give up because they try to do too much at once and then it backfires. Oh, let me see. So it's Bryce B. Hoping I'm saying that right. Hey, so great grandparents passed away a few months ago. Is there any way my reading can be able that or my life would appreciate it if possible? Thank you. Like a... Okay, so it's Bryce. Here's what we can do, okay? And this is important. Please listen to this, because if I cannot connect, I can give you a refund, okay? If you pay through Super Chat, I cannot give you a refund. No matter what, I've tried doing it, I cannot do it. So if you want, it would be, and thank you, James, thank you so much, my friend. If you want, it would be $20. We can do Cashapp or we can do PayPal, and I can try and see if I can connect. If not, I will give you a refund. That's kind of how I operate. So if that's something you want to do, we can move forward with that. I'm still learning as a medium. I'm still learning. So yeah. Okay. So let's do this here. So James says, how do you see me regarding finances tonight? I'm gambling lots of money. Do you see me winning tonight, and how much you think? Hold on. Okay. So, James, I'm just putting you on my list here so that I have you down. Okay, well, if you're wanting to do... Okay, take your time, think about what I'm saying. I offer mediumship sessions from my website. If you want to do a half hour or an hour, like to try and get evidence, it would be more. It would be quite a bit more, but I do offer a money back guarantee at this point in time, just because I know that it's kind of a tender subject and I don't want you to feel like you're out. Doing it live, I charge less because it's a way for me to make money and a way for me to do that. Give it some time, think about it, and I would appreciate the subscription. That would help out so much. But yeah, give yourself some time. You can watch how I interact with other people, Bryce, and then you can make a decision from there. Okay, but just think about that. I'm live 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if you'd want to come back on Wednesday and maybe try, or on Friday, or next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just to test you, you passed the test. Thank you, James. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. You donated close enough. You know what I mean? So just that damn Google. They like to take. But thank you so much. That helps out a ton. Helps me doing what I'm doing. So let me see what I can get for you, James. Do about like that. And then just give me 1 second, my friend. All right, let me see what else I can get here. Okay. Thank you, James. I will definitely keep it up. Let's see what we can find. Let's use some different cards here. So let's use these cards. These are the Fountain Oracle or Fountain Tarot deck. Let's see what we can do here. I'll see if I can tune in psychically. Finances, as I have said, James, and you're very kind to come on here and help support the channel. Finances are not my forte. but I will try to do my best on doing that. I've had a couple right finance decisions of my own, but does not mean by any means I'm a financial reading guru or expert, so I'll try and see what we can do. Something, okay. I felt like 1,200 came up. Either you're gambling with $1,200, maybe you could win $1,200, but there's something about 1,200 I feel like was coming up. Wow, okay. But again, James, I don't know what a lot of money is to you. Maybe I add an extra zero to that 1,200 and make it 12,000. I don't know. But let me look. Okay. A little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, so we get these cards here. Weird time to be itchy. So we get 5 of coins in reverse. Okay, this card in reverse is actually a pretty good card. But next to these other cards, I'll tell you what it means here in a second. 10 of swords in reverse, that's also a good card to have in reverse. I feel like we're seeing situations differently, we're thinking differently. I don't know necessarily how you're gambling or what you're doing, but it feels to me like you have a sense with people or with the game that you're playing. There seems to be a sense of some sort. Then we have 5 of wands, okay? And maybe you're gambling on the stock market too. I don't know. When I hear gambling, I always think gambling in Vegas kind of a thing. But when I see 5 of wands in reverse, and then I see hostilities in reverse, which is this card here, I didn't show you that one yet. I feel like you're going to win. I don't feel like it's going to be necessarily a ton, but I do feel like there's going to be some winning. I'm going to say this, though. I'm going to say when you start getting on a streak, because I do feel like something's going to happen. I do feel like you're going to start getting something. I'm going to say, okay, you have a strategy. Okay. So I'm going to say this. When you start getting on a streak and I'm going to say if you're on a streak, you're starting to rack up your winnings. If you lose 3 times in a row, okay, and hopefully that's not a ton. If you lose 3 times in a row, I'm going to say step away from the table. Step away from the table, maybe try again with a very small amount to see if you can build that back up into something. But I have a feeling here where when I see these cards, all of these cards right here, it feels like we play in 4 hours day trading. That's awesome. Damn, James, that's cool. You need to teach me that, man. I wouldn't mind learning. No, but seriously, that's awesome, man. I've heard of day trading, but I am saying that there has to be a point where if we start kind of going on a decline, we need to step away. And that's always hard for me. That is always hard for me. I've lost quite a bit of money gambling in Vegas, or Mesquite in my situation. So I understand that it's kind of hard to step away, especially when you feel like you're hot. You feel like you're really getting something going. 10 grand into, I mean, that's a lot. That's 300% on invest. Like that's some good money. Well, 22. Okay, so it's 220% on your investment, I think, right? I do feel like you're going to make some more gains. I don't feel like it's going to be anything super huge. And the only reason is because there's cards here that are saying to temper expectations. I do feel like you're going to come out with something. I'm not feeling like it's going to be like life-changing amount of money, but I do feel like it'll be enough that hopefully you walk away thinking, okay, not bad, and you know, don't. What is that saying? There's a saying out there that says, if someone stole $10 from you, if you had $1 million and someone stole $10 from you, would you throw away the rest of your money trying to get that $10 back, or would you just let it go? That kind of situation. And I feel I am okay. So when I see these cards, hostilities in reverse, and literally this card can be hostilities, I feel like there's something here. I'm feeling like you're going to have more than before. Again, the 1,200 amount popped up. I'm not thinking it's going to be a huge amount. 1,200 for some reason is coming up for me. So I'm thinking you're going to make money. Not going to be a huge amount of money. Thank you so much, the Disciple. Let me add you to the list here. Okay. Let me see. 10. All right. Hello there, the Disciple. So I'll address your question. You're the next one up on the list. Thank you so much for coming by. And it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Hopefully you're doing okay, my friend. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Oh, that felt really good. So, James, here's what I'm saying for you. I feel like, hi Amber, how are you doing? It's been a while. It has been a while since I've seen you. Hopefully you're doing okay. I feel like, James, you're gonna have, I'm seeing 1,200 and then I'm seeing somewhere around 3,000. When I'm seeing this, I feel like we get some money. I feel like we do okay, and then I feel like we chase after it and we end up with 1,200 that we have. So there could be a situation where you could have double or almost 3 times as much as you're going to make, but I feel like have that sense when you know it's time to get out. Like when you feel like your strategy has reached that point, don't be greedy. Don't be to that point. Obviously, you know this already. You have a strategy. You have something that works for you. So I would say, tell me how to do it. And then, no, I'm just kidding. But I would say, just give yourself some time, give yourself some space. If it feels like something's happening, capitalize on it and then kind of get out of Dodge, so to speak. I don't feel like you should stay and keep testing it out. Like keep trying stuff, of course, but yeah, I feel like you're going to get more than the 1,200 possibly, but you might be chasing a little too hard and you might end up with just the 1,200. That's what I'm feeling, so we'll see. But hopefully that makes sense, James. And kudos on your big score. That is awesome. All right. Hopefully that addresses things, James. Let me see here. All right. Let me do this. You're very welcome, James. Good luck to you, and hope to see you on the channel again. Have a good one, and yeah, man, good luck. I wish you the best. All right, Disciple. So let's move on here. I'm just gonna see something really quick. Okay, let's do this. Oh. Oh, awesome. Okay, Amber, thank you very much for that. So Amber, you will be after the disciple. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hold on one sec. A bunch of things going on here. Okay. Let's see what we got. I am sorry there's these little breaks, guys. I have to look at stuff and then I can come right back. So let's do this. All right. And we're going to do this. Okay, and then I had to check one more thing and then we are golden. And I'll address your question, the disciple. Awesome. Good, good. You've always been patient. I just don't want to come across like, hey, you know, I want to be considerate. Okay. All right. So let's do this. Okay, so I'm looking on here, the disciple, and I'm seeing, so a New Zealand dollar is equal to $6.90 for the United States. Is there any way you could do, I know this is kind of asking a lot, but is there any way you could do another 10? Because my prices now are $10 for one question, and with Google, if you're doing an AdSense pay, that would be the way we can answer the question, because right now it's $6.90. But hold on. So Google takes 30%. The reason why my questions are $10, right? But I'm asking for another 10 from New Zealand, which would be $13.80 total, is because they take 30%, and so that's why I'm asking for more for the AdSense. Hopefully that's okay with you. I'm not used to getting paid in New Zealand currency. Call me a Vegemite sandwich. I don't know what you guys do over there, but or is that Australia? That's probably Australia. Thank you, the disciple. Appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. Okay. Gonna be right back, guys. I have a little thing I'm gonna show you here, so read that. I'm just gonna go pee really quick. I'm gonna come right back. Really don't need to tell you that part. I'm gonna go take a tinkle sprinkle. I'm gonna be back. So give me 1 second and you guys can look at this in the meantime. Thank you. Thank you, my friend disciple. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, 1 sec. Okay. Oh. I'll tell you right now, if you guys are thinking about doing a lot of squats and lunges, don't. You agree, buddy? Yeah. Just don't. It hurts your butt the next day. Not a fun experience. Okay, so, and yeah, so it's all good, man. You are worth every penny of my experience. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. I need to duck down because this is right up here. But thank you. I appreciate that. You guys know what I mean. Squats and lunges. I'm an arms and chest guy. I'm not a legs person. You rarely see my legs, and you guys are damn sure I don't have any feet. You never see them. But anyway. Let's see. What was I need to get rid of this so you guys can see me a little bit better. There we go. There we go. Now you can see me and I don't have to duck under the thing. All right, so let's look at this. The Disciple. See what we can come up with. So you are wondering, will I get an opportunity at Mount Linton Station? Mount Linton Station. I like the way it sounds. It kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, not had interview yet. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna go back here. Has it been about a week or 9 days since you put in your resume or did something like that? I feel like you've been waiting for a little bit of time. I'm trying to do some psychic stuff here. If that's wrong, that's okay. But that was what I was kind of feeling. But let's look at what the cards have to say. So, yeah, a bit more than that. Close. Okay. Okay, a little bit more. You're being nice. You were only a few days off. Okay. Okay. So, 12 days? Is that what I'm feeling? I don't feel like it's quite 2 weeks. Let's see. The smiley face. That's how I know I was approximate. 2 weeks. Okay, it is 2 weeks. All right, then let's look at that. Let's look and see what we can get. Still developing the old spidey senses, so you gotta give me a little bit of a break on that. Let's see what we can come up with here. It did feel like less than 2 weeks though, so that's interesting. All right, Disciple, thank you for letting me work how I like to work, and for also being very open. Hey man, if that's a habit that doesn't need to be broken, I appreciate the smileys. Or yeah, I appreciate that it shows more openness, it helps me to connect more, and it makes me feel more at ease, right? As goofy as that sounds for me to say, please don't stop doing the smileys. I mean, don't feel like you have to do them, but I definitely don't mind. There we go. Awesome. All right, let's see what we get. So, will the Disciple hear from Mount Linton Station? Makes sense. Okay, so this was where the 8 came up. Now I'm seeing where the 8 came up. Because both of the cards that I've drawn, we have 18 and 8 are the numbers on here. And then, okay, I'll show you the cards. Hold on. So, how are you, like, will you hear back from them? And we get the anxiety card. because this is how you've been feeling. I feel like it's something where you're trying to keep a strong kind of feeling. You're trying to do that, but there is anxiety. You're like waiting. You're trying to do that because there is indecision. And because of this situation right now, it kind of feels like life is on pause, right? Does that make sense? If it feels like life is on pause while you're trying to wait, you're trying to see what's going on. But then I'm seeing this. I'm seeing door to spirit right here. And that to me, when I'm focusing on this, I'm feeling like I'm seeing... Okay, so I'm feeling like I'm seeing this, and you can tell me if this makes sense to you. The disciple, do you have... For some reason, I feel like spirit, or I feel like something is showing me obsidian. Obsidian or some sort of black rock, maybe black tourmaline. I'm wondering if that's something you have on you, just as like something that I'm seeing. I don't know if you do stuff like that, but I feel like grounding energy is going to be important for you right now, because we tend to focus and think way too much up here, and we don't come back down to kind of see how we're doing. So we need to check back in with ourselves. That's going to be the one thing we need to do. We need to come back in. And we need to check back in. Okay, yeah, I got tourmaline and onyx. Okay, I was going to say onyx. I went with obsidian. All right, so, but it is a okay, so those grounding stones are going to help. I want you to put intention into the stones. Black tourmaline. Okay, perfect. All right, so I want you to put intention into the stones to help you ground. So I want you to use those stones. I want you to hold... And I want you to focus on the kind of feeling that you get in your palm if you know how to do energy work. But I want you to ground yourself during this process, because we tend to overthink, and then we overthink about overthinking. Okay? So that's kind of what I'm feeling here. So let's look at the actual question. I just wanted to give some insight before we went on there. All right. So... the end result for this situation, I got it free with another crystal I bought. Yeah, I overthink a lot, right on. Okay, so this is something that we can use moving forward, right? Overthinking is kind of like overcaring, right? And then we get burnt out. So if we can learn to tame ourselves, it becomes easier to understand things. But when we're focusing on something that we really want, and it's been a minute since we've heard anything, that kind of makes it a difficult situation. So I'm going to look here. So for the disciple, moving forward, energy oracle deck, what do you see being the end result? Will the disciple hear back for an interview? Okay, so this is what I get. We have the temple path. Right here, it's in reverse. And as soon as I saw the temple path in reverse, I heard the word endurance. And that to me is saying it's going to be a bit longer. I'm feeling, okay, I said 8, and then we had 8 and 18 come up. I'm feeling like in between now and 3 weeks, I feel like it's going to be where you hear from them. I feel like it's still going to be a little bit of time. So I'd say between 4 to 7 days from now, I feel like you could hear back from them. But I'm seeing the temple path in reverse. And to me, that is showing that it's going to be testing you in a mental way where it feels like it's just kind of a lot, right? It feels like there's kind of a lot riding on this. Yeah, Mercury and Retrograde. Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about Mercury and Retrograde, because I don't know what that is. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Mercury and Retrograde has been... It's been a little more potent this time around. Yeah, it's been pretty potent, at least for me, in my experience. I'm wondering, the disciple, if I'm wrong with this, you can tell me. Do you have issues with gut health? Do you have anything going on in the stomach, or trouble digesting, or heartburn? I'm wondering if there's digestive issues. If not, that's okay. I was just feeling like there was something going on there, possibly. Okay, you do. All right, so here's what I'm gonna prescribe to you, my friend. All right. So what I want you to do, and this may sound like an odd suggestion, but we need to get some kind of fermented foods in you, if that makes sense. Okay. So for me to know that there was digestive trouble, I've been eating kimchi, I have digestive trouble too, but right when I was talking with you, I tasted the kimchi again, and I had kimchi probably 12 hours ago, so or like 10 hours ago. So I'm not still tasting it. I'm feeling like there needs to be fermented foods in your diet. There needs to be something going on in that way so that your gut health can get better, and that can make it so that when the gut health is out of whack, we can have the overthinking and we can have the anxious thoughts and we can have, the anxiety. If we can do something to help that gut health, that's going to help. And a probiotic is good, but fermented foods like kimchi and stuff like that have live probiotics in them, and that's going to help you moving forward. That's actually going to help quite a bit. So okay, that's good. Tried kefir. I didn't do well with it. Kefir it's interesting, but kombucha was good and yogurt is better. Okay, yeah, yogurt's good. Yogurt can be really good, but in order to get a lot of and I know I would be the last person, vanilla yogurt agrees with me. Okay. So that's good. The vanilla yogurt's good. I'm also going to say this, the disciple, do you have issues digesting protein? I'm wondering if digesting protein agrees with you or not. If not, that's fine. You do. Okay, so, obviously I'm just going to say this. Take it easy on the protein. Have 2 yogurts a day and call me in the morning. No, I'm going to say, take it easy on protein. For some reason, I'm feeling like fish would be better for you as a possibility. I'm wondering if red meat makes your stomach upset, but I feel like fish would maybe be better. But I feel like that's something. Again, this is new to me, but that's kind of what I'm feeling there. So, okay, red meat doesn't. Okay. So I'm gonna also say this. So get on. If you want, kimchi is a stronger food or something that is fermented, that has live cultures. Yogurt's good. Yogurt is really good. But a little bit of something fermented can help your stomach, can help your gut bacteria come back a lot quicker, right? Especially if we're having troubles digesting. That can be an issue. So that's a possibility. You don't have to do it. It's just something I'm throwing out there. All right, so hopefully that helps answer your question. We went a little bit more. I kept getting more information. And then for some reason, brown rice, pretty good on brown rice. Okay. If it's something that doesn't upset the stomach, right? Brown rice is pretty plain. Quinoa can also be good too. That though can be kind of hard to digest. More fiber in the diet could be good too, not too much, but just something to help with that. Again, I'm not a doctor, but for some reason my guides, the psychic information, they like to tell me things. So another thing that I'm seeing around you, the disciple, I'm wondering if you're either thinking of doing a big cleaning project or you have done a big cleaning project recently. I'm feeling like that's going to help your space if we're cleaning and if we're doing something where we're really focusing on what we want to have and don't want to have in our lives. But it's like either we're physically cleaning or we're emotionally cleansing something. We're focusing on fixing something. Yeah, I incorporated broccoli and carrots in my diet a few months back. Perfect. That's really good too. Broccoli and carrots are really good. Asparagus is really good. Yeah, I need to clean my computer. Okay. I understand cleaning the digital space can take a minute sometimes, but I feel like you're up to the task. But that's what I'm feeling. Moving into this, I feel like you're making better choices, which is good. I feel like in the past, the disciple, and I could be wrong with this, but there was a sense of self-sacrificing where you would make sure that other people were comfortable before yourself. I feel like you're starting to set boundaries and stand up for yourself more now, though. That's something that I'm feeling. So there's a stance of saying, I'm enough, I'm focusing on myself. And I feel like you're focusing on raising yourself up, and you're focusing on giving that love and attention to yourself rather than to giving it to other people that may not understand it. That's kind of something that I'm getting to. Okay. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So you're making steps, you're making progress, you're doing really good. Um, just stay on the path that you're on and just keep going, because I do feel like there's some progress here for sure. So the disciple, does that help answer your question for you? You're worth every penny. Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you. Thank you very much, my friend. A New Zealand penny, though, it's not as good as a United States penny. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um, you're very welcome, my friend. You are very, very welcome. I appreciate you coming by, and it's been a while since I've seen you, so I really do hope everything's going well. But it seems like it is. So, yeah, you take care, my friend, and Amber, if you have a question, or not if you have a question, you can answer. You can ask your question. I don't want you to answer your question. That would be weird if you guys paid me to answer your own questions. That would be, maybe we can try it. Awesome. I will, the disciple. I definitely will. All right, let me do this here. Yeah, Amber, when you're ready, my friend, come on in and ask a question. Two questions. What is the true reason RJ ghosted? What's the story with the new guy I'm seeing? Okay, let's look at that. Ah. Well, I'll tell you right now, Amber. One of the reasons he ghosted is because he's a jerk. But we'll get some more details than that. Sorry that happened, though. Okay. So what is the reason RJ ghosted? Let's do energy, and then let's use these other cards here. Let's do this. One more shuffle. Okay. So what's the real reason? What's the true reason RJ ghosted Amber? So here's what I get, Amber. Very first card I get. I see anxiety right here. And I'll explain all of this stuff. I think what I'm going to do, though, I think after I'm done with this reading, we don't have anyone else coming up. And so after I'm done with your reading, I think I'm going to say toodaloo. But I'm feeling... okay. I'm feeling something along the lines of... because my hand is feeling kind of funny. And then we have this woman holding a coin in reverse. So I'm actually wondering if there is something here with possibly the discrepancy between how much you guys were making. But that's a very shallow reason. But RJ I don't feel like is a person that isn't shallow, because I get Healer of the Ages in reverse as well. So I see someone that is more into self-sabotaging behavior than they are into helping themselves. And I feel like maybe you held a mirror up to this person and you showed them that they could be better than they currently are, possibly through your actions, because I feel like you're a very honorable person. But I feel like this person saw that as kind of like a threat, right? It feels like, and maybe I'm wrong with this, but RJ, I feel like has a mentality of a teenager or a college party, not party necessarily, but it feels like there's emotional stunting here. So that's something that I'm seeing here. So I feel like he left because he tells himself he left because possibly of a financial reason, right? You weren't making as much money, but the real reason is because I feel like you got too close to him and he doesn't know how to handle that. And so he pushes away. I have a feeling, Amber, and it's up to you to decide what to do, but I have a feeling that he will be contacting you again, but it's going to be a while before he does so. But I have a feeling he will be contacting you again. But like I've said many, many times, you're worth more. You're worth more than people ghosting you. You're worth so much more. And I would honestly say don't give him the time of day. Okay? Because I feel like he could just do what he did again. You know what I mean? It's that kind of situation. But that's what I'm seeing there. Okay? And it's a stupid... He's justified it as a stupid reason. Because to him, that's a reason. It's not the real reason, though. The thing he isn't telling himself, because he doesn't have the emotional wherewithal to kind of go in there, is that he was scared. I feel like there was something. I feel like there was progress. I feel like it could have gone into a certain direction. There was potential, but he wasn't looking for that necessarily, or he thought he wanted it, and then it turns. Anyway, it's a kind of a chicken shit situation, right? That's what I'm feeling with RJ. So hopefully that kind of clears things up and makes sense. Does that make sense? A while would be, let's do this. Okay, so because this is a long kind of prediction that I'm doing, and this is going to sound weird, Amber, so I'm just going to go with this here. Hold on. Okay, so when we're talking about how long is a while, I feel like I saw 5. I saw a hand and it was holding up 5 fingers. So to me, this is 5 weeks to 5 months. On the off chance that it's 5 years. You know what I mean? There's a possibility that that could be it too, but I'm saying 5 weeks to 5 months would be when you would hear from him again, or somewhere in between those 2 time frames. That's kind of what I'm seeing. But again, that's up to you if you want to entertain that or not. I'm feeling like unless he shows you, and words mean nothing, unless he shows you that he's changed, or unless he talks to you about everything that happened and he's brutally honest with you and he really opens up, I would say don't even come close to letting him back in your life. But that's me, right? That's kind of my situation. You can do whatever you want, you know, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. I feel like he'll be back. I feel like it's going to be a little while before he is, though. Hopefully that answers that question. Okay, that's what you were feeling. Okay, so we'll address the other question. What's the story with the new guy I'm seeing? The new guy you're seeing. I'm not seeing a new guy that I'm aware of. So Amber, think about it like this, okay? And I know this is kind of a situation where what you're asking, why people aren't honest. Shh, shh, shh. It's okay, buddy. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. I think if you're asking why people aren't honest, it's kind of a situation of, I feel like women have an easier time being honest. I just do. Some of them no, of course. But men, I feel like, have a hard time realizing they have emotions, and then they have a hard time putting those emotions into words, or understanding even what they want on a basic level in an emotional sense. Men are rewarded in society for not showing their emotions and for being these super strong pillars of whatever, being very stoic and being very unemotional. Men are kind of rewarded for that, and it's seen as a positive trait, and that's kind of where the toxic masculinity comes in. And so a lot of men have this idea that if I'm not emotional, that means I'm a man, right? And women are too emotional, and I don't want to be a woman, whatever the hell that means. And so that's kind of the situation that I feel like is going on in society. For myself, right? For the longest time, I was completely devoid of emotion. Up until a few years ago, it was hard for me to even realize I had emotions, and it was very hard for me to identify emotions that I had. As like, besides anger, I knew what anger felt like, but fear, anxiety, sadness, and a lot of times, if a man is blocking off his emotional sense, like he's not feeling, he's not allowing himself to get fearful, or he's not allowing himself to be sad, that same man is not going to allow themselves to be happy either, because you have to go through the highs and the lows. You have to go through the highs and the lows, or else you just get a middle ground where you're just kind of dead, right? Emotion is energy in motion, and a lot of men have blocked off that. They've blocked off the motion part. Hopefully that makes sense. That's from my perspective, kind of what I've experienced myself. And yeah, honesty, I feel like, lies in an emotional state and conveying that emotional state. And if men cannot do the basic emotional work, then it's going to mean that honesty is going to be something that's going to be hard to come by. Not impossible, but difficult, because you should be able to, there should be give and take, right? So let's look at the second question. Hopefully you didn't mind that tangent that I went on there. I just don't want you to think there's anything wrong with you, Amber. There's not. It's just certain people, they say they're in that mind space, they say they're in that headspace to date, to go out to do things, but when things start getting a little more serious, or when things start having potential, they just get scared, and they'll say it's for this reason or that or whatever. But yeah, it's fear of not knowing oneself. Okay, so let's look at the other question here. So what's the story with the new guy that you're seeing? So what is the story with the new guy that Amber is seeing? Hi, Marin Khan. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I'm not... So I do charge for my questions. You can see how I work with other people and go from there. But I do charge for my questions. So if that's something you're interested in, we can do that. But you can also see how I work with other people to decide if that's something you want to do, okay? I do like the unicorn at the end of your sentence there, so there's something cool for you. The unique unicorn. The unique corn. Oh, I get it. Okay. I get it. Let's do one more. All right, so what is the story behind the person that Amber... What's the story with the new guy that Amber is seeing? So far, Amber, from what the cards are telling me, I get man holding a heart. Okay. Then I get blossoming abundance. And then I get second chakra Archangel Ariel. Okay. So all of these cards are upright. And all of these cards, I feel like there's a sense of unity or a sense of cohesion with this person. It does feel like this person has an ease with you. I'm feeling like there's a sense of maybe there's good intimacy, maybe there's good chemistry in that way. I don't know if that's something you've done yet or not. Obviously, that's your, but I do feel like there's a sense of cohesion here. The cards seem to be liking this person, right? So it does feel like there's a sense of reciprocity, reciprocal feelings, right? That's kind of what I'm feeling there. Honestly, I'm not getting anything bad. So this is one of those situations, I think, where it feels like things are okay. I am curious, though, with... I'm going to do this here. I'm feeling a sense of lightheadedness a little bit. And I feel like I'm seeing... almost like I'm seeing a rainbow, like a mixture of colors with the lightheadedness. So I'm curious here. Is everything going okay with this person, Amber, or are they sending mixed signals, or is everything going okay? Because with the lightheadedness, I'm almost thinking that it's hard to tell what's going on. Okay. Mm. Oop. There that went. Okay. Are you still there, Amber? Maybe you're just typing. In which case, continue to do so. Okay. All right. Did I lose you, Amber? Oh, here we go. Okay, accept the physical. So that's why this came up. Accept the physical. I would say give that some time. There could be something around that. He also has a very high stress job. Okay, so that can be kind of a situation where, okay. Okay. So let me look here. So how does this person feel about Amber in a physical way? Because I can understand if there are certain signs that aren't necessarily happening, it can feel like maybe something's off, of course. But let's see here. So how does this person feel about Amber in a physical sense? Is this person an Aries, Amber? I'm just curious. If not, that's okay. I was just curious. So how does he feel about her physically? So the cards I drew, we have Seven of Swords, Two of Swords in reverse, and then we have Three of Wands right up here. So I'm feeling like this person tends to overthink that kind of the situation. And like you said, the very high stress job could be a sign of that as well. I feel like there's a connection here. I do feel a connection. I feel like the physical part's going to come later. I do feel like that's going to be something that comes along later in the relationship. It seems to me like this person could think themselves, they have analysis paralysis, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Right, right. He had performance issues. Again, analysis paralysis. Yes, okay. I can see that. He's a Cancer. Okay. Hmm. I'm feeling like obviously you want that part. I understand that. I feel like the way that can happen is through a gentle process, right? If the person is scared or they're nervous, it could be that with another partner, they could have been mocked or they could have been ridiculed or they could have just had really bad experiences with another partner. And so that could be something that this person is kind of scared of. That's something that I could see being an issue. But as long as you show this person that things are okay and you can move on, you can move along, right? The emotional intimacy is there. That's a good sign. That's a really good sign. And that's what I was seeing with these cards here. So I'm going to say this part because this card is the sexual card. The reason I read it as being you guys had good physical chemistry was because of this. But now I'm understanding that there's good emotional chemistry, but not the physical. So that could also mean this. But this is upright, so that means it will be fixed. Things will happen. There just needs to be a gentleness and kind of a patience. If that makes patience would actually be the name of the game, if that makes sense. So if you can be patient during that process and let him know that it's not a race, that would help too. There's other things as well. There's things you can do with your diet. There's asking what he likes, what he doesn't like. There being a non-judgmental space is also going to help him a ton. in that sort of arena, if that makes sense. But anything like that is going to be helpful, and I feel like you're kind and caring enough that you can do that. I understand that can probably be a little bit much at times, and it can feel frustrating. It's like, what's going on here? What's happening? But I do feel there's a connection. So I would say just give that some time, right? Give that some time. Let things sort of come through, and because the other people that you've had relationships with or that you've tried to get in relationships with, you've tried to be open with them, you've tried to be emotional with them, and they've been so closed off and stunted that having someone that is open, but then there's also another issue. It's kind of like you want to pick what you want to pick what's going on, and if they're showing you they care, and if they're trying with you, to me that means more than the other thing for a time, right? Give it some time, see what happens. But to me, it sounds like there's a good connection. So, or it feels like there's a good connection. So, yeah, I would say just give it some time. Oh. Okay, Olivia, hold on. But hopefully that helps, Amber. And thank you so much, Olivia. That is considerable amount. So let me go back in here. Do this. And it says up there the stream is ending, but I will address your question, Olivia, and then go on from there. But thank you so much. That's an awesome donation. Let me go into this here. And hopefully, Amber, that helps you. I'm hoping that helps you. Just be gentle in the process. Awesome. You're very welcome, Amber. Thanks again for stopping by and helping to support the channel and for supporting on Patreon. That you've been awesome with that, so I appreciate that. Okay. So Olivia, I wanted to know if you could tell me if there's anything wrong that has happened to me in my childhood, and if so, what, when, who, where. The more you can, please. Thanks in advance. Okay. Let's see here what we can do. I'm just going to do this really quick. I'm going to get my cards going here. I'm going to move these out of the way. And let's do this. So this one, Olivia, this is kind of this is something we're going to address. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a bit of a bigger question. So hopefully you have time to sit down and kind of digest what I'm telling you. It'll take a minute for me to do this, but that's what you want, right? You don't want a rushed process. So get comfortable. Again, I have to go to the bathroom. I will be right back, and we will address your question. Okay, 100%. Just sit tight for just a second longer, okay? Be right back. Okay, Olivia, hopefully you're still there. Sorry that took me a second. You just let me know you're still there. We'll continue doing the reading during this process. During this process. During this process, I want you to just be there. Help me answer some questions, right? Because I'm going to be asking you questions. We may do a little bit of energy work as well to sort of fill things out. If that's something you want to do, there's no pressure to do that. I offer that as an option. No extra money required. You've already given enough, and I appreciate that so much. Problem. You should know about before. That's okay. That's okay. I'm just letting you know, okay? And I appreciate your honesty and you're coming forward. You're letting me know what's going on. So you're saying there's a possibility that the connection could kind of fade out, right? Like the connection couldn't be so good. If that does happen, okay? If that does happen, there's several ways to contact me after the stream is over. All of them. You can leave a comment. Let me know if this was right or that was right. If that's something you want to do, there's options, okay, that we can work through. So I don't want you to think that I'm just going to take the money and run. We'll address things. We'll go from there, okay? I'm just letting you know it can be a bit of a process. One second here. Okay. All right, so let's focus on the questions and let's focus on connecting. So very first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to try and see what we can find and then just go from there. I mean, that sounds pretty simple, but let's see what we can do. Okay. All right, so when we're discussing if there's anything wrong that happened, I imagine we're talking more about maybe traumatic events that took place, right? And those aren't necessarily wrong in the sense of like you should feel bad necessarily, but we can work through the problems as we get older, kind of a thing. So we can uncover those problems, we can focus on those as we get older. I just want to say I feel like if we do add shame or guilt to the mix of there being something wrong with us, it just makes it harder for us to understand what the problem really is because there's nothing wrong, right? It's just we're learning to adapt and how to handle life, and we can focus on hopefully clearing some energy and hopefully shedding some light on some situations. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let me see here. Hopefully it's okay if I connect with you energetically. That'll make this quite a bit easier. So I'm going to ask your permission, Olivia. Can I connect with you energetically? If I don't get a response, this is one of those rare situations. I'm going to assume it's okay to connect, just because you did ask a question, and I feel like that would be a good way to find the answer. So it's always good to ask if you can't connect. Okay. Very first thing that I'm feeling is going to be, I feel like there's a connection from the heart to the throat. So I feel like there was something in your life while you were growing up that you could not express yourself. You could not express your soul. You could not express your identity. Something was limited in your form of self-expression. And I feel like that led to other issues. So there could be problems with the throat, and there could be possibly digestion issues as well, or maybe some sinus issues that could result. It's like a physical symptom for the things that have happened. So there could be issues like that. If there's not, that's okay, but there could be issues like that, right? The throat comes through, the throat keeps coming through. And then I feel like maybe there's something with the thyroid, but I'm not sure. But I'm seeing like a lighter blue color. To me, that represents the thyroid. But it does feel like there was trouble with self-expression. I feel like as time's gone on now, you've given yourself the permission to be expressive, but there's still that fear of not knowing if you're expressing yourself correctly or if that's something you can do correctly. And I feel like we tend to be rather harsh with ourselves at times. Let's see. One second. Okay. So, with that being said, that's what I'm feeling here. The other thing that I'm feeling is there's a sense of frigid energy or frigid air that I'm feeling. And how I would describe that is I'm wondering if there was maybe a feminine force in your life. So it could be a mother, grandmother, or an aunt that limited your sense of self-expression. I'm wondering if there was a woman somewhere in your life, possibly in the early childhood, because that's what we're talking about here, that limited your sense of self-expression or that tried to mute you in some way. That feels to me like that's kind of what I'm getting. And then I'm feeling like I'm seeing hands coming up, and those hands are telling me you can't go there. And what that means to me is that there is a range, there is a limit to your self-expression. And maybe because this limit was set up, we were taught that love was conditional. And that to me can be an issue that we have going on later in life, where we're no longer a child, but we still feel like it's hard to express ourselves, and we feel like it's like, why is it this hard? Why is it hard to do this? But that's kind of what I'm feeling here. Now, okay. So with that being said, I took a big sigh because this kind of thing right here, it feels like there was a lot of blockage. It feels like there was a lot of blockage. And I'm almost feeling like I want to cry. I want to release things, which is good. Crying, releasing things is really good. Having days where we just kind of accept that it's kind of a day where we're feeling sad. I feel like those kinds of days are important because when we can express our sadness, we can express other emotions as well. And I feel like that's something that needs to happen. Okay? Expression is important. You're not doing it wrong. You can't do it wrong. Okay? Early childhood, I feel like we were taught that there was a way to do it. There is not. Okay. All right, so now, when we're moving on to this, something that I'm feeling is this is possibly deal with the solar plexus chakra. Okay, so we're actually going down instead of up. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just bringing that up as a example. So we have the throat chakra right here, the heart chakra. We know where those are. The throat chakra is in the palm. No, it's in the throat. So we have the throat chakra, we have the heart chakra, and then a little bit above our, like maybe 3 or 4 inches above our belly button, okay, we have the solar plexus. The solar plexus holds a lot of energy, and when I'm focusing on you, I'm feeling like the energy in the solar plexus is something that can be kind of squeezed off. And when I say squeezed off, it feels like to me other people's opinions tend to dictate a lot in our life. And I'm not saying that as a judgmental thing. I'm not saying that as a shame trigger or anything like that. That's just something I'm feeling because the solar plexus to me feels like, again, that self-expression, that's really important to have. And if we felt muted or if we felt like we could not get answers to the questions we had, or we could not express ourselves the way we wanted to express ourselves, it can lead to this kind of haziness that we have in our adult life, this kind of fogginess that we have and we carry with us. And it makes it so that it's hard for us to discern. It's hard for us to discern or even trust other people, let alone ourselves, because something happened to make our judgment feel clouded, right? And again, that's generally involving the stifling of a young child. Something happened where expression was limited. Okay, so Let me see what else we can get here. Let's write this down here. The name George comes through. Don't know if that means anything to you. That just came through. Sometimes they have information that comes through. Maybe later on, if it doesn't make sense now, it could make sense later. So we can connect those two things later, possibly. That being said, I didn't feel like there was a lot of importance to it. It just felt like something popping in. So I'm just throwing that out there. So I feel like when I think of your family, when I'm thinking of how you're connected to your family, I see it almost in like a quilt. Okay. I see a quilt and a family connection. What's interesting with the quilt, though, is that the quilt is made and then each family member has their own square. But what I feel like this did was it segmented the family and it made it so things were more spread out in the family, so to speak. It made it so that possibly at a very young age, you were very independent. And that can make it so that it feels like we can't rely on our parents because being independent was praised. Being a child that didn't need supervision was praised. That's what I'm feeling when I'm talking about this quilted framework kind of scenario. So it could feel like maybe to people looking in on the outside, it seems like a well-functioning family, but to you, there could be a sense of maybe neglect or feeling like you are praised for being independent, and so that was taught to you at a young age. Okay. The invert or the reverse can happen too, where there could be, instead of an independence, there can be so much of a codependence on the parents and the child that, again, expressing your own emotions, having your own opinions feels dangerous. Instead, you don't want to upset mom or dad, or you don't want to upset your peers, and so you adopt a way of speaking or a way of expressing yourself that is in compliance with everyone else. And when that happens, we tend to lose the self. We lose who we really are, and we have to go back and find that. And by untangling through these emotions, that's where we can come back and find that. That's going to be very important. Moving on here. Okay. All right. So hopefully when you're watching this back, hopefully you're there now, but if not, when you're watching this back, it's making sense. Okay, so let's focus on other things here. What else are we getting here? So now I'm focusing more on the stitching, the stitching of the quilt. And as we're talking about the stitching of the quilt, I see that it's crisscross, crisscross. So if it's not one parent or one person, I feel like more than one person was involved in possibly making your childhood feel that stifling feeling. It does feel like there's a connection. It does feel like there's family, but it also feels like there's this sense of not being able to live up to expectations or not feeling like that's something we can even do. It feels like we're being instructed to do something that we have no idea what to do, but we're being told that we need to do it perfectly or we need to do it in this way. And again, I'm seeing the hand coming up and saying stop. So I'm feeling like resistance or crying or just being a child was met with kind of scorn in some instances. So that's what I'm feeling here. Now moving forward, right? Well, let me see what else I can get here. Okay. So I'm feeling like at this point in your life, there's a sense of looking into the shadow or looking into the parts of yourself that were hard to look at, but not necessarily knowing where to start. I feel like we're beginning to look back at things, we're beginning to try to understand things, but again, maybe the memory feels hazy, maybe things feel very foggy, almost a sense of unrealness. And what that can be a sign of trauma from a young age is feeling like we're not connected to our body, and that can make it very difficult for us to focus on trying to come back. Not impossible, but just kind of difficult for us to feel centered in our body, feeling like a sense of security and calm. Okay, and that's what I'm seeing here. So I don't feel like the family provided that necessarily. And so I feel like now in your life, you're focusing more on what we can do to make ourselves better, but also that can feel like a lot. That can feel like a hell of a lot for us to focus on. So hopefully me helping you with this sort of gives you some insight. And I don't want you to think in any way, again, this isn't about judgment. This isn't about anything like that. I want you to feel safe and realize that a lot of people have gone through similar situations, and it's not the end of the world. It's something where we can focus, we can be stronger, and we can get better. It just takes time and it takes patience with ourselves, okay? And I feel like that's probably something we weren't taught a lot. High expectations and low patience equals, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Okay. Hey, Sarah. I'm reading for Olivia. Thank you for coming in here. Okay. Hold on one second. I've got to turn off my alarm. Thanks for stopping by, Sarah. And I'm thinking this will be my last reading for the night, but I'm going live again on Wednesday and Friday at 8 p.m. So if that's something you want to do, subscribe and click the bell icon and you'll know right when I go live. And yeah, so yeah, sorry about that. I've been on about 3.5 hours now, so I'm thinking after this one I'm gonna head out. I mean, if you're okay. Well, I'll address Olivia's question. So I don't know if you've been on the channel before, Sarah, but I charge $10 a question. Yeah, it's paid. It's I don't do free readings, so it's $10 a question, or $13 if you're using Super Chat because Google takes a percentage, or you can pay through Cashapp or Cashapp or PayPal. So if you'd want to do Cashapp or PayPal, and if you have, I can do a reading for you if that's something you want to do. That's up to you though, okay? But I'm reading for Olivia right now, so I'm going to address her reading here just for, well, for a bit because we're focused on some stuff here. It would be after Olivia's reading. I'm still reading for Olivia, so it'll probably be another 10 minutes or so. Okay, so Olivia, let's see, where were we at? No, Sarah, you're fine. Don't worry about that. You're good. I'm just letting you know. I'm not mad. I'm not upset with you. Everything's okay. All right? I'm just letting you know. Okay, so Olivia, I'm feeling like I need to get back in the groove here. Because of me. I need to get back in the groove because of me. I get distracted easily. Sarah, you didn't do anything wrong at all. Please don't think you did. Just got to get back to my train of thought here. Okay, so possible thyroid issues, possible throat issues. The expression is a huge one. The sense of self-expression, the expression, that's a big one. Okay, so that's going to be primarily what I feel like happened was the muting, the stifling of the self through childhood development. And so something that happens, Olivia, is that when we're focused on developing as children, right? It's not even something we have to think about. It's not something we have to focus on usually. We're just children. We're in an environment. We take in the environment like a sponge, and we sort of become the product of the environment plus the, nurture and nature, that kind of thing. But we become that product. The chakras, when we're first developing, right? So when we're developing and we're very first starting out in the world, we're a newborn, There's a sense of security that should happen. There's the root chakra. For some people, that is not necessarily there. You can get it back. You can focus on getting that root chakra back and aligning the root chakra again, but it's not necessarily something that is uncommon, right? A lot of people are born in this world and they don't have a strong connection with their parents or with the world sometimes, and so it can create that kind of disconnect, if that makes any sense. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. All right, so, and then as we grow up, so from about age, I think it's age about 0 to 18 months, we're focused more on the root chakra. Okay, then when we're getting older, about 2, I think it's 2 to 3 years, that's when we start developing into the sacral chakra. Okay, so if the first chakra, the root chakra, the earth chakra, is about security, stability, and I thought I turned you off. Okay, sorry about that. That alarm. So the first chakra is about security and stability, okay, and connection. The second chakra is, first chakra is earth, second chakra is water. So the second chakra is about flow. Second chakra is about choice, okay? When we enter about 2 or 3 years of age, we generally are making choices and decisions for ourselves. You know, we don't have to be held and coddled as much. We're on the move, we're doing stuff, and we're generally taking in the environment, like I said, making decisions, doing stuff like that. Then, right about, I think it's 3 to 5, we start hitting the age where we start developing the solar plexus chakra, or we start living in that solar plexus space. And what that is that we have a will to do something, we have an urge to do something, and we do it. And I feel like, because when we were focusing on the chakras here, I feel like around 3 to 5, I feel like there could have been a block of a connection. There could have been something that blocked a connection here. And because of that, that's where the limited self-expression comes from, because something was taken away. That fire was kind of snuffed out in a way. Again, it doesn't mean that it can't come back, because it can. I feel like you're working on yourself and you're healing. I'm just sharing what I've gotten so far. Now, that being said, when we get older, we start developing more of the heart chakra. We start developing more of the throat chakra. The heart chakra is allowing ourselves to release and let go. So if the solar plexus chakra, okay, if that's focused on using willpower and force to kind of achieve what we want to do, okay, the heart chakra, okay, and we've talked about this before, the word heart and the word earth, just rearrange the letters, right? And so I call it the earth chakra sometimes, which is confusing, but so the heart chakra is a chakra that deals with letting go. So what does that look like? That's allowing yourself to let things go and realize that it's going to be okay, right? That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And the first thing that I felt with you, okay, was the heart chakra connecting to the throat chakra. So letting things go and expressing yourself was not something you could do. Again, the stifling kind of effect that we were talking about. That's something that I want you to focus on that, okay? I want you to understand that none of that was your fault at all. None of that was anything that happened to you that was your fault. But what we can do now is we can go back and we can fix kind of what happened. We can focus on repairing the damage of what's happened, okay? That's going to help a lot. The way we do that, one of the ways we can do that, we can do some energy work, okay? If you were here and the connection wasn't loose like you were talking about, we could do more of the energy work. I want you to be present and aware the next time you're online, okay? Or if you come on here and I'm still on, the next time you're online, or if you come back, we could do some energy work, and we could focus on releasing some of that energy, okay? That's going to be something that I feel like it's going to be powerful. It's going to be focusing on that. Okay. So limited self-expression equals stifled. When we are stifled as a child, or when we're told that's not appropriate, you can't do that, an excessive amount. Like it's good for parents to set boundaries for their children, But when the boundary that the parent is setting is detrimental to the child, that leads to developmental issues later on, okay? That leads to things going on. And I know for myself personally, I had a lot of issues growing up, emotionally, physically, a bunch of things going on. And so I know for me personally that these kinds of things that happen in childhood, they can be worked on, they can be fixed, but you have to focus on allowing yourself to work on them and to fix them, okay? That's primarily what I'm feeling with you. Like I said, stifled, lack of self-expression. But yeah, so I'm going to let that be. I think I'm going to let that be where we kind of end it. If you were on here, we could talk a little bit more. And the next time you're on, like I said, energy work, we can focus on doing some stuff like that, because I feel like that's going to help you. We can move some of that energy. We can move some of that, some of the stuff that's blocked, okay? And when I talk about blocked energy, or I talk about blocked chakras, it's something that can be worked on. It's something that can be worked on, but we have to put our attention to it. Where attention flows, energy goes, okay? So if we're focusing on these kinds of issues, we can start to unknot things. Imagine Christmas lights that are knotted up, and then we slowly start to untangle them, okay? And that's kind of the process that we could be focusing on moving forward. All right? So with that being said, Olivia, please let me know, either, like I said, coming back on here and posting in the chat what you think, or posting a comment underneath this video. I will see it. I will see the comment if you post underneath this video. That being said, again, if you don't feel like you want to say anything, I understand that too. Okay? It's up to you what you want to do or what you feel comfortable with. So moving forward, that's kind of the situation I'm seeing here. I do love working with you though, Olivia, and you've helped support the channel a ton, so I really appreciate that. So let's move forward with that, and then on either Wednesday or Friday, if you don't want to post a comment, you can come back on and we can discuss. Okay, we can talk about stuff and just go from there. So I don't want you to think that I'm just leaving you in the lurch here, because I'm not. I'll be right here. Yeah, so thank you so much, Olivia, and I look forward to hearing back from you in a myriad of different ways. But you take care, and yeah, have a good day. So let me see something here. Okay. All right. So, Sarah, if you're still there, I could do a question for you if you want. If not, I completely understand, but if you are still there, we can totally do a question for you. You can look in the description for my payment links, but again, if you're not there, that is okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right, Olivia, I think I'm going to call it good for the night. Thank you so much for helping to support the channel. And again, look forward to working with you. And next time I'm on, we can do a little bit of energy work, okay? We can focus on doing some clearing, all right? So take care. I will talk to you next time I see you, and have a good one, okay? All right, everyone, toodaloo.